Welcome to Truth UnCompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight we have a great show planned for you. We are doing part 2 of what's going on, the Psyops against the Indigenous. So last week, if you didn't get a chance to join us, we kind of went into some of the most popular organizations that were supposedly, quote, quote, here to free and help the indigenous people, and we kind of gave some information on how those were infiltrated. Some even say started by the Alphabet Boys in particular. We went over the Black Panther organization. We also connected that organization with one of the famous rappers of the Generation X, which was Tupac, and how we linked his mom being a part of that organization and how that all comes into play. And then we went over various other things. So I encourage the family, if you did not listen to last week's episode, to go back and give it a listen. You can catch it on Blog Talk in the archives and also on YouTube. So this week, what we are going to focus on, because last week we went into COINTELPRO and a couple of other things. This week we're going to go into, which this is going to be tripped out. It's going to blow some of your wig back. Some of the people may be up on this, but we're going to get into this whole Baphomet concept and how that ties into transgenderism and how that is also a psyops, and get into why it is being done and how it impacts the Indigenous. So with that said, let me bring on my co-host. Let me see. Let me bring on Brother Sean. Just a second here. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Peace and love, sis. I'm well. How about you?
I'm well. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise. Hey, sis.
Uh-huh.
Indonesia and Malaysia both got planes that went down under mysterious circumstances. They still allegedly ain't found the one in Malaysia. But then they hint at the one in Indonesia that some type of fugitive may have been on the plane. So y'all down the whole plane for one motherfucker?
Right.
Who is this motherfucker?
Lord, I heard about the Indonesia. I didn't get into it deep, but I didn't hear about the Malaysia one.
That was a couple of years ago, because then remember they couldn't find the plane.
Yep. Okay, I see what you're saying. And then, and we're going to get into all of that on some of the follow-ups too, because they've been psyopsing their asses off this week, over the last 2 weeks, because today we wake up to this damn California shooting. So it's always been something. We're going to talk about the election on Tuesday. Believe it or not, that was definitely symbolic. We're going to get into that as well. Let me bring on Sis Sandra, and then we're going to chop it up. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Oh, peace and love to you, sis. I'm fine, thank you. And how about yourself and Brother Sean and the family?
Peace and love.
Good to hear your voice, sis. Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear yours.
Okay. So before I forget, I know I'm not going to forget. I'm going to make 2 announcements. Okay. So in case you don't stay all the way to the end, because I don't want you to miss what is coming up Sunday. Sunday is very, very important from from a spiritual perspective. It is triple manifestation.
It is.
11 representing November, 11 representing the day, 11 if you add 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 8 equals 11. Okay,
big day. So
very, very powerful day from a spiritual perspective. What that means for you is things that you want to see into fruition. You are a creator. This is when you use your powers to get it across the ethers to bring it into physical. Okay, so this is what we've been talking about over these past couple years, where you speak things into existence, you write things into existence. So that's going to be a very, very powerful day, which is probably one of the reasons also they're throwing all of these false flags out. So I did want to send that to the family. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis. What were you about to say?
Well, I mean, the guy's a military dude, right? And that's Veterans Day, right? So what better way to not celebrate or not be happy and make everybody sad, so they won't manifest joy and happiness in their lives?
That's a good point. See, I didn't even keep up with their little raggedy ass false days, but yes. So I did want to put that out there. Sis Lioness is having a call on the 10th, and she's starting it at 11 p.m. So she's doing it on Sunday at 11. And I'm going to post this on the Facebook page, but the number is 712-432-6301. and the code is 512517. So again, Sis Lioness is doing a call on abundant enlightenment on Sunday, November 10th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and the number is 712-432-6301. The code is 512517, and I will also post this on the Truth Uncompromised page as well.
That's
okay.
Saturday the 10th. Saturday the 10th, right?
Oh, okay. She said
Saturday the 10th and Sunday is the 11th.
Yeah, sorry about that. She said in the email Sunday, November 10th, but it is Saturday. That it's going to start at 11, but I'm pretty sure it will carry over into Sunday the 11th. So pretty much understanding why she's doing it that way. So yes, it starts Saturday the 10th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, family. Ooh, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. So, Brother Sean, did you want to start off with what you was talking about before, or you want me to go on with my follow-up items? Because we got so doggone much stuff. That's the thing.
Well, go ahead. Let's run it since we got so much stuff.
Okay. All right. So let's get on this election. Let me take a little sip. Sorry, family. And I do be sipping water, but sometimes some of these topics I really be needing a little swig of wine or whatever. But okay, so let's get with the election now. Of course, my stance on it, and I don't advocate what I do. I don't try to push what I do on what anybody else chooses to do. That is your business. But I do not vote, and the reason I do not vote is because I am not a part of that corporate system, nor do they have jurisdiction over me. So meaning I don't subscribe to any of their statutes and codes. Okay, I am governed my own self within my own right as being indigenous to this land. So now those are my reasonings. Okay, so you did have a lot of us melanated folks. I saw it split into two different groups. One group was, we need to get out. Our ancestors, died for this right. Yada, yada, yada. This is the way to make a difference at a local level. A, B, C through Z. Okay, fine. If that's what they want to do, they're subscribing to being under the system and wanting to make a change within the system. That's their business. Then you had the other folks that I guess you can split it into three, but the other group that is like me, we know why we are not going to vote, because that is participating in their system, okay? So that's the second group. Then you have the third group that's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not interested. That's all bullshit to begin with. And then a lot of that third group also, because they have a felony on their records, can't vote anyway, okay? So this particular local elections, they were trying, the Democratic Party was trying to get certain people in office to supposedly have a controlling interest to make things happen, okay? So they start bringing out some of their big guns like Prez O and Oprah, particularly in Georgia, the melanated woman that is running for governor there, or that ran for governor there, and a couple other key races. I saw a lot of women that they were pushing into office, although I at least saw where one of them, transgender, I think the person is running as a gay woman, but it's really a man. That's a separate story. We're going to get into that a little bit tonight. And then they also had openly gay men as well. Okay, so here's why this particular election is. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Don't forget the Native American.
Oh yeah, my bad. I think that's the gay lady. That's the gay. Isn't she gay? Or I might be mixing her up with somebody else.
Considering it's a European anyway, I mean, could be.
Okay, and I may be mixing it up. That may not be the lady. The Native American lady.
No, the gay one. That she won. The gay one won a different. See, that was a different state.
Okay. And speaking of the Native American lady, I just kind of laugh. I'm like, wait a minute. If you Native American, what the fuck you doing running for office? I thought you sovereign. So you didn't just contradicted what the fuck you didn't say, but I found that absolutely laughable. I mean, downright laughable. And I'm like, I can't believe folks are not getting how this is such a joke and a psyop. How can you be, quote, quote, Native American? You're running for office. Okay.
Oh, and they got a Muslim. A Muslim woman.
A Muslim lady. Yep. And a Muslim woman. Absolutely. Okay, so that within itself, you can see what they were trying to do was get all of those particular, quote, quote, groups that typically have been looked over and ignored to give the illusion of inclusion. Okay? Again, to give the illusion of inclusion. So that in itself is a psyop. Okay? But here's why this election was important. Because even with all of their tricks, and I'm going to even throw in there the immigrants that supposedly was on their own decided to jump up from Honduras and Guatemala and start marching towards the border. I put that in part of the psyops also. So even with all of that fuckery going on, the Democrats did not total sweep and results that they thought that they were going to get. And here's why. But you cannot tell the average person that's in that voting group that's melanated this because they won't get it. They'll get it in the long run. They'll get it in about 2 years. Maybe next year they'll start getting it. Here's why it didn't work. Okay? Because that time or that frequency of their corporate system, that shit is over. It is over for the melanated indigenous people to be under that spell. So this is why you're seeing a split where some that the two categories that I named, the ones category like myself, we know who we are. We're not giving any consent to that corporate fictional system. And then you have the other group that just don't give a fuck. They know the system is bullshit. Now, they may not know it to the depth that we know it, but they know that it doesn't matter who they put in office. It's all a game because they're not benefiting from it. Okay? And that group mainly comprises of people that they would say comes out of the hood or the conscious community or the conscious intellectuals. That is that other group, okay? But with the combination of these two groups, we throw a wrench in that voting system, okay? Especially for the Democratic Party. Now, this is not something that they didn't know that was coming down the line. They have been seeing the numbers. I saw something earlier this week where they said less than 50% of folks are participating in elections. Okay, and even white folks are tired of the bullshit. Even their numbers are low for voting because the age of corporate control is over. It's just that simple. Doesn't matter what they try to, what rabbit they try to pull out of the hat. Those of us that see the wizard behind the curtain, we definitely not going back to sleep. And those that are just so disgusted with the system, they know that it hasn't, it's not benefiting them, they're also done with it. Okay, so this is why that Tuesday election went down the way it was supposed to, because from a spiritual perspective, the energy has shifted on Mama Earth. So all of the impurities, all of the lies, all of these things are being exposed, being shut down because she is in a cleansing process. So over these next 2 years, including this year, you're going to really start to see dominoes fall in that corporate fictional system. Okay. All right, so I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it. And I see you, Brother 832. I'm going to bring you on in just a sec.
You know, Fulford, Fulford had a thing about the 4th or the 5th of this month talking about the frequencies and how their bodies are changing. They're breaking out and their blood vessels are changing and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, it's interesting. Now, we've been saying this for a long
time. Yep.
That this is going to happen to them because of the changes in the position of frequencies and where we're going in the galaxy. And he was talking about the moods are different and people are getting meaner and all this kind of stuff. I thought, interesting. I'm glad you finally noticed it. No.
Right.
I'm glad you finally mentioned it.
Yeah, exactly. Glad you finally mentioned it. Yes. So I might have to check out his last one since he's talking some sense a little bit.
Yeah, because he's always on this upbeat. You know, he's still on that upbeat that, you know, you're going to make it, you're going to be okay, you know, and all that. And so he can't tell people what really is happening to them. Because a lot of people, since my son works in the drug industry, they are coming in and they are sick.
Doesn't surprise us. It does not surprise us. And yeah, because Fulford, what he does, what I don't like, he regurgitates the same information that's supposedly been going to happen for however long he's been putting out that blog. And then number two, he doesn't hold the Vatican accountable. And was a matter of fact giving them praise, which lets me know, okay, so I know who's paying you. Okay, so that's why I don't F with him.
He don't hold the United States accountable.
True.
He totally ignores their play in the game of this world. He just totally ignores it. I said, so you ain't saying nothing. Sit down and shut up. Because unless you start really talking about who the main players are and letting the people see they're being used, like in this election you're talking about, that election is rigged to get us back on board with the system.
Exactly. But I think it was I know it was a rude awakening for they asses on Tuesday because the melanated folk that don't want nothing to do with it really shook things up. And like I've been telling the family, they need us to continue with the bullshit. They need that consent. And when we say, get out my face with that, I don't want shit to do with it, that's when the dominoes are starting to fall. So do not take that Tuesday election lightly. That was a huge wake-up call for them. And there's no putting it back. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead, Brother Sean.
With Fulford, you should have knew it was some bullshit with him when he got to bringing up Ernest Rothschild.
Oh, yeah. I missed that one. What? I must have missed something. I missed that one.
Yeah, Anna addressed him too. Anna Von Wright, whatever her name is.
Yeah, her ass is fraudulent too, but that's another story.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's another story.
My thing with the election is, and I don't see why people don't get it right the fuck out, is a colonial corporation.
Yes, it is.
It's disrespectful to our ancestors. Mm-hmm. People to keep participating and keeping this fucking system alive. But then you cry about the way that you treated within the system.
Right.
I mean, niggas been voting for how long? And niggas been getting hit upside their head for how long? I mean, y'all crazy. Y'all insane by definition. You keep doing the same shit but expecting something to change.
Yep.
It's our land. We want it gone. Why the fuck we gonna participate in something we want gone? It's a system designed to keep us down. Period. It's a system put in place for them to navigate, negotiate, and take every goddamn thing we got.
Yep.
And y'all think it's a fucking game. Your ancestors ain't died for the right to vote. They was killing your ancestors because they telling you, stupid ass, you ain't got nothing to do with this. It ain't for you.
Yeah, that's
true. Y'all want to argue and fight and be a part of shit. And you think your people dying trying to save you. They was trying to do you a favor trying to keep you out their shit. Had you stayed out of it, it'd be easier to get rid of them. But now y'all want to keep playing with them. This ain't a fucking game. We've been at war. War ain't never fucking stopped. And y'all want to be politically correct. The fuck wrong with you? People dying. These motherfuckers y'all putting in office as fucking war criminals. They killing people all over the fucking world. Melanated people at that. Other indigenous people. In the places where some of y'all think y'all from. But y'all support the very Gestapo that's killing your people. But, I mean, who am I? I ain't nobody. Don't pay me no attention. Keep doing what you're doing. And you're going to keep getting what you get. Period.
Yeah, and you know, only thing that I want to add to that, if anybody is listening to this that do vote, you know, just do your own research on the different positions the three groups that I laid out. You should know why you're doing what you're doing if you're in the group that's voting. Research the ones that, like myself, are in the Indigenous category, meaning my ancestors are of this land, and we never consented to the colonization. We never consented to be enslaved on our own land. We never consented to forced assimilation. And that's exactly what it is, forced assimilation, when they're requiring indigenous people to have birth certificates, social security cards, driver's license. That is forced assimilation. Participation in their schools, that's forced assimilation. And they know that. They have drafted declarations to tell their folks how they are supposed to be interacting with us, which is a drip. But because most of our people want to be a part of that corporate system, then you will be treated accordingly with their system. You give up your rights and your natural divine rights. Let's start with just your natural divine rights as a free soul. You give up those rights when you participate in that corporate system. Now, that's whether or not you're indigenous to the land or not, okay? But if you're indigenous to the land, not only are you giving up that right as a divine free soul being, but you're also giving up the jurisdiction of you being indigenous to this land to not be fucked with, to do things the way you fucking want to do, and you running things, not them. So research that, and you'll enter and understand why the group, which I'm a part of, that the indigenous Americans who will not participate in their system. And then the other group, you know, it really hurts me when people want to call them they're stupid and they're ignorant. The people that don't give a fuck, they don't want to be bothered with it, etc. They have legitimate reasons. They're not ignorant. They just see the game for what it is. They see that the system don't work for them. And after 8 years of Pres O, who did nothing for people of color, now he did do a lot for the LGBT, the lesbian, gay community, transgender community. He did a hell of a lot more for them.
Adrian went through on his watch.
Yes. Because when did the revised version? What was it? 2016 or was it 2014? I can't remember. Okay, 2016. Yes. Okay, so that's the deal on the voting. So let me bring on 832, and then I see you, Anonymous. I'll be with you right after 832. 832, your line is open.
Rhonda! Sandra! My sisters from other misters!
Peace and love, brother. Feathers up, brother.
Sean, my brother from another mother on Mount Olympus. Throwing them thunderbolts down tonight.
I'm glad now, bro. How you doing?
You know, I'd like to take the baton of what you said last week about we're at war and stop fucking talking to me about politics. You kind of picked it up for another flavor again tonight. But I got bumped repeatedly, Rhonda, on last week's call, whether that's a conspiracy theory or the agenda of the system, et cetera. However, since I don't know how long I'll be allowed to be on tonight, let me kind of get straight to it. Head Mammy, Sheila Jackson Lee, who you played in that clip, and by the way, I followed up on it. I live in her congressional district. Historically, it is called the Houston 3rd Ward, Texas, where Texas Southern University resides, in the midst of what we call the medical center, which, by the way, is acknowledged and recognized as the so-called largest high-technology health service system on the planet, where heads of states like emirs, sultans, kings, and other of the elite come to get advanced health care that the average Houstonian cannot receive. Part of her district also has another historic ward called the 4th Ward, where those of us in the local Houston area know that has been transmogrified and somewhat morphed into what is being called the Midtown, and that type of thing is going on across America. I'm sure Mr. Sanders can tell me something certain. That's called gentrification, where there was major thoroughfares in the 4th Ward that was the original, and I'm using air quotes here, impoverished, enslaved, and then emancipated so-called African-American community where there were old cobblestones and bricks that the slaves used for fundraising to create their community. There was another particular group called the Allen Parkway Village that was found when they got, a Trail of Tears 2.0, that a slave cemetery was unearthed and disturbed. So I'm just pointing out examples here, and I will tie up one other local dilemma of Houston. The Camp Logan event that most people may not be cognizant of 1917 in the response of World War I, where returning black veterans, and we had a precursor to Emmett Till, if you will, of a reckless eyeballing or whistling incident of this horrific black male image that's going to deflower the virginal white Becky. Okay? It became a organized riot, as they would report it, of black men in veteran uniforms recently returned from the war front in Europe, but treated how, my sister, once they returned home?
Very
so when
inhumane.
We talk about voting, when we talk about voting and all these things, this is never part of the discussion. So I will point out, as you shared from that video clip, about, and by the way, you were playing it, so I don't know if you saw it. When I watched it and reviewed, did you go back and look at what was in the background? Because that speech was taking place at the United Nations General Assembly. There was a multicolored banner in the background that said the year of return. Did you take notice of that?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay, so
yes,
not to put words in my good brother's mouth, I want to understand the context of what he means that we are at war. And I agree with him 100%. When one is at war, one has allies, enemies, and traitors. They are also identified in a process. The first casualty of war, as has been stated in past conflicts, global and regional and local, is the media, is it not?
Yes.
And why may that be?
Broadest reach. That's why they call it televisional programming.
There's also an issue of propaganda.
Yes.
There's also an issue of when you are trying to coordinate and communicate with forces, resources, and logistics. I mean, you're speaking to someone who is a veteran, of the United States Navy. However, we have not agreed. As a matter of fact, and here's the deal. In agreement 100% with Sean's observation, the war has been declared by everyone on the planet but us. You know why? Because how is it that an immigrant who's never been on this land, does not even speak this language, some can barely contain themselves and communicate in English, all go set up shop in whose community?
Ours.
And then extract what out of the community?
Resources, fiat resources, yes.
And then all in agreement to hold us in contempt. Have no allegiance whatsoever with us.
No.
Then turn around and get benefit from government programs, whether it's food stamps, welfare,
right,
housing, health insurance. I don't care what it is. But what people have fought, died, bled, just like they put this bullshit in our face about voting. They claim all these things our ancestors bled and died for, and today in 2018, we still don't get full benefits from.
Yeah, can't argue with you on that. Absolutely.
They also line up and agree to call us the N-word. Now, I believe you talked about Walter Pleckler last week, where he identified in his pursuit of racial purity Negroes with feathers.
Yes, he did.
Now, in some future show, I think I've asked you this before. I know it's probably something you don't do traditionally as a programming agenda. But could you possibly have a panel discussion with Chief Alonzo Langley and Chief Warhorse Elwyn Gillum to start getting a perspective on what is either a true Indigenous, autochthonous, or Aboriginal person? What is the agenda of sovereignty? There's two different tiers. One is by birth. In other words, you're a live human being. Sovereignty is not something bestowed upon you. It is something that either can be given away, which is something we practice daily, or something that is restricted, meaning incarceration, or to the point of death. But even in death, your corpse is still yours by sovereign status. So when we have these discussions, and I'm pointing this out, just to say that it's one thing to have a comment and an opinion about whether we are at war or not. The fact is very much evident that everyone else is in battle against us for a collective effort of the acquisition of resources and the land that is ours by birth. But others are coming over here and doing what squatters do. Okay? And since we are completely ignorant of our position and our station and our status in this warfare, if you will, the only ones we are at war with is ourselves.
Agreed.
So I agree with Sean is saying, and I agree with his observation, but we're not having you know what I mean? We're not having an impact on our people if we don't take the language in a warlike fashion, because what the first thing that people in war do is identify the enemy. Don't you agree, Sean?
Indeed.
And then you therefore set a strategy of tactics and, identify alliances. You get an agenda. You have to organize troops. Yeah. Again, I'm making speculations here now, but I'm saying when we start having discussions like this is not something that should be taken lightly. Now, the other thing is that you pointed out. Go ahead, bro.
This is not taken lightly, and.
Oh, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying people that make it a politics situation.
Further discussions will be had with the right people at the right time. Energy gonna dictate that. We have war,
right,
like you said, with ourselves, but that's a tactic of theirs. Now, they don't want us awakened, having identified the enemy, knowing the enemy is actually a minority. It don't take all of us to get rid of them.
Nope.
Don't take very many of us at all, fully awakened. But before you continue, I'm going to say this to you, bro. There's a council seat waiting for you. We going to talk more.
I thank you, brother. I appreciate the invitation. What I wanted to say to tie together the other part of last week's discussion, the 1215 Magna Carta, you probably didn't hear that, Rhonda, but as of today, Rush Limbaugh stated some bullshit on the context of how beautiful a document that was.
Of course he would.
And how it was the precursor. Oh, here's the amazing thing about how they manipulate. I'm pointing out the issue of media. He's the biggest bullhorn of these people. Okay? So he goes and then bestows some grandiose thing about how great the Magna Carta was as the precursor for a government being created for the freedom of the individuals. What they always seem to fail to mention is at the expense of us, the original inhabitants, the indigenous, the autochthonous population. You're going to tell me how great. Remember I told you the last time we talked, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing this immigrant shit. You know?
Right.
They're going and bestowing some great, magnanimous, glorious thing. People like Dinesh D'Souza And now Stephen Miller, this bigot that sits in the White House next door to the Orange Demon, that's espousing these, anti-immigrant, separate people from their children, Muslim ban, when he is a so-called Zionist Jew that his own uncle said, hey, those policies would have kept you from being born, literally, because they would have kept the Jew immigrant out of America. Well, that's only a starting point. When you have, I use this analogy, okay? And we love our people because we are loving people. And you say this every week when you talk about expressing the highest frequency is love. But we're dealing with the lowest frequency every day with some demonic people, demonic forces, and violence and warfare that is perpetuated consistently, like Sean just pointed out. All these people, literally all of these people, from the beginning in 1774 of this corporate entity are war criminals.
Yes.
There is ADRIP, the United States Constitution, Articles of Confederation. All these things are paper trails of their criminal activity for centuries.
It is. Yes.
Now, we're trying to love the demon out of that, and I'm talking about in the context of this Christian fraud that was forced on our population, through the end of a whip, by the way, to tell us that we're going to find a white Jesus Messiah. And you talked last week about Tupac being a black version of it, but the Messiah complex that we were taught is this white Jesus hanging on a cross.
Right.
Okay? So while they go take the cross and the crusade, they come amongst us wherever we are on the face of this planet, they hand you the Bible and steal the land at the end of a gun. You over here crying and hollering and whooping and showing love and forgiveness, because that's what we are as a people, and saying, Lord, Lord, forgive them for not what they do. So Malcolm said, shit, after hundreds of years, they're expert at it. And they over there saying, praise the Lord, but pass the ammunition.
Yep.
Now, Malcolm said very clearly, you have a failure to communicate when you talking nonviolence, excuse my French, to a violent motherfucker. You can talk love all you want to when you're dealing with a demonic beast that only knows bloodshed. And this is where there's a disconnect in our clarity. That's the point that Sean is making about. We're not declaring war because we're a people based in love. And therefore we turn within. We turn literally inward on ourselves like a cannibalistic, cancerous type of existence where we feed off ourselves to prevent turning outward against those people who are literally attacking us, literally killing us, literally marginalizing us. The agenda of gentrification is forcing us into more and more into a corner. And even the little pipsqueak Chihuahua, you back that motherfucker in a corner, he will bite your ass eventually.
Yeah, Chihuahuas don't play.
But we're toothless, sisters. Almost, I'm saying metaphorically.
Right.
Because we don't even strike back out. And I'm not talking about hate the white man and all those other things that others listening NSA included, COINTEL programs included. But when you were discussing this last week about the Magna Carta, 1215, about ADRIP, which is 2015, okay, kind of wrap this up and bring it to a close to the circle. All this is a paper documentation of criminality.
Yes.
Does not include, I don't care how many house Negroes driving Miss Daisy, the help, and 12 years a slave they trot out in their propaganda called Hollywood and the Media Machine. I don't care how many house Negroes they provide, Coons, Tom. By the way, have you ever heard the book Toms, Coons, Mammies, and Bucks? The Interpretive Dictionary of the Image of Black America?
No. That's something I need to check out, the title. Wow.
I'm hip
to
it, bro.
Certainly I know you are, my brother. But the next time we have a Megyn Kelly and a blackface incident, since they're coming upon their Christmas season and they love having a right, Santa? Maybe you want to put a copy of that in their hands, but that's me. I digress. The point is this, that when we are preparing for our children and our grandchildren's sake, that's the only thing that drives me, my sister and my brother.
Absolutely.
That you cannot do anything without the truth, not a truth, not some facts,
that's right.
without the truth. You cannot say you are going to heal a person with a misdiagnosis, which is through misinformation and lies.
Yep.
So when we deal with the situation, and we will, because first in time is first in line, we were given the authority and dominion over this planet, which means we are responsible.
That's right.
But that does not make me culpable for the behaviors of others. And in parting, and Sean, I don't know if you have these people identified or not, we do need a legal redress team. Not that I'm asking or expecting reparations. That's not the point. It's about compiling the documentation, fulfilling and laying out everything from the Magna Carta 2015 to ADRIP 1215 to ADRIP 2015. That's close to a millennium of redress, so that we can get and identify who's an ally and who's a traitor. And I yield.
All right, brother. Peace and love. Peace and love. Very powerful drop. Very, very powerful drop. Thank you for that. We actually have two more people in the queue. Let me get to Anonymous, and then I see you 609. Okay. Anonymous, your line is open.
Peace, family.
Peace and love, beloved.
I'm just commenting on this election thing. By us being conscious, the ones who are, and still flip-flopping and trying to deal with that fraudulent system. Number one, understand, like you said, like Sean said, what this thing really is you're dealing with. Number one, it's not a government. We know that. It's a corporation. Our ancestors never died for that. Our ancestors died for a republic form of voting. That's when you are the government. We are the indigenous people. The republic, not Republican. Republic form of voting. And that's the indigenous people that's telling them what to do, because the orders come from us.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? There is no Commonwealth state. And I don't know why these people keep letting them say that these states they're calling all over there on the East Coast and Kentucky is Commonwealth states. They're not, because the indigenous people are the Commonwealth, and they're not in power now. Yep. They're not in power right now. So they're not Commonwealth. They're controlled by the Europeans. And their voting thing, anyway, if they look up at California Election Code Section 2200, it tells you a voter's registration is an affidavit lien that's on everything in that name to the corporation for life.
Yes, it is. Can you state that again on what being a registered voter means, if you don't mind, and tell them once again where they can find that information, if you don't mind?
Pardon me?
If you can just tell them again what being a registered voter really means and where they can find that information.
Okay. California Election Code Section 2200. You can take and Google that up. It's right there. California Election Code Section 2200. It's right there. It spills it right out. Because I even got copies of it. I printed it off and I give it to people and I show it to them. And they look at it like a deer standing in the headlights. And I explain to them what it means. And they still look at me like a deer standing here. I say, you turn everything over to your oppressor when you go make that contract. You turning everything over to your oppressor. You telling them that you're incompetent, and you giving them your electoral vote because you're saying you don't know how to take and use it for yourself. So therefore, I need for you to take and make a decision for me because I'm incompetent.
Yep.
And they just playing the game with you.
Exactly.
So it's all nothing but really people make things harder and complicated than what they are. Everything is really common sense. The highest degree we have that come from our Creator.
That's right. Right.
So I yield.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, brother.
Peace and love, family.
Okay. Peace and love to you.
I'm going to listen in.
Okay. Okay, brother. Thanks so much. Yeah, and thank you for giving specifically what voter registration means. So those of you that are voting, I encourage you to take a look at it. And if you subscribe to it, you subscribe to it. That's your business. But at least you have the information. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, sis.
There's something that you have to do now to get out from under the voter registration. You have to go online and unregister yourself. It used to be a time if you didn't vote for a long time, you have to re-register and put yourself back on the voting registration. But now you got to go online and take your name off. Now, since he said that about California at the 2200, that's why they have you registered until you find out you have to go unregister yourself. It's not just mandatory. If you don't vote at all, you're still on there once you voted and registered to vote. So that's just a little bit of information for those who are still not voting, but yet don't know you have to go online and unregister yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's good information, sis. Okay, so I'm going to go to, we have two more people in the queue, 609 and 256. 609, I'm coming to you. 609, your line is open.
Hi, fellas. My name is Clay Douglas. I'm a pastor from Big Spring, Texas. I wanted to say that I voted for the midterm election. I'm not going to ask you fellas what you voted for, but I wanted to say I voted Democratic all the way through. But I wanted to get into something a little different. I know you sometimes speak of the transgenders, but before I get to that, I wanted to bring up these social justice warriors and the far left Democrats, which I consider, liberals, and they go as far as saying you can't, say you were to give birth tomorrow, you can't write whether it's a male or female on the birth certificate. I think that's a little ridiculous. Also, actually, this is more ridiculous, but when you have that baby, you have to actually ask the baby's permission to change its diaper, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So I want to say that these liberals, these social justice warriors, give Democrats a bad name.
It's interesting that you bring that up. Number one, I just want to state again, I don't subscribe to any of the voting system because I'm not a part of that corporate fictional system. So to each its own.
Yes, ma'am.
But we are going to get into tonight the whole transgenderism because that is even an agenda and it's deeper than what people know. There's a surface agenda, kind of swap out gender roles, masculinity. Also, unfortunately, even for the people that are like truly in their hearts, they are transgender. There's also some pedophilia involved in that, but we're also going to talk about it from a spiritual perspective.
Yes, ma'am.
Of why it's being done.
I'm glad you brought that up because I am a pastor. May I ask you one more question?
Sure thing.
How do you feel about the homosexuals?
Well,
are you for that? Do you believe it's a sin?
Well, I'm not a Christian. I don't subscribe to religion. No disrespect to folks that are, but as far as what anybody does with their sexuality, that's their business. But I am in tune enough to know an agenda when I see one. So the whole gay, lesbian, transgenderism, it is an agenda from a spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, and it is very quite disturbing, and we're going to get into it tonight. So
absolutely,
that's where I
I'm glad, and
it.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about it because I'm kind of at war with another pastor, and I believe you said you had a 256 area code on the line as well in the queue.
Yes.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's him.
Oh Lord, y'all coming on. All right, well it's all good. No worries. But yeah, that's my stance on it. I don't have anything against whatever people from their sexuality, but it's deeper than that.
Exactly. That's right. I agree. But see, if you have me on one side, him on one side, you can be in the middle and say who you agree with here.
And I may not agree with either one of you, but that's okay too. So
that's okay. Exactly. That's okay too.
Right. Okay, then, brother. Did you have anything else you wanted to put on it?
Yeah, I just that's all I want to say for now. You just bring him on because I want to tear with him another. You know what?
All right, then. Okay, then. Well, peace and love. I'm gonna go to him because he's been, if that's him, waiting for quite a bit. Okay, I'm gonna put you on mute.
Okay, but no.
Okay, so let me go to 256. I'm not sure if, boy, y'all really heating it up. Okay. All right, here we go. 256. 256, your line is open.
Hello.
256.
My doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Peace and love.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Peace and love to you. I am Dr. Pastor and Rabbi Kent Hopper, PhD. I have studied religion. I have several doctorates, but I am not your typical pastor. You see, I believe that we should accept all of God's children as they are, as Abba made them, regardless of their sexual preference or orientation, my daughter. And Pastor Douglas, although a Democrat, is very conservative in his views and does not agree with me. I, after studying so much, have learned to accept people of the LGBTQ and P movement. And what do you feel about that, my daughter?
Well, that is certainly your right, but as I just talked to the other gentleman, 609, I still stand by my position. Again, what someone does in their bedroom is their business with the exclusion of children. That's not my concern. My concern is from a spiritual perspective, the agenda that is being put forward for a spiritual purpose. And it is deeper than just someone being gay or transgender. It goes beyond that. It's deeper than that. You're getting into worshiping of different entities, and it's also an energy, a spiritual energy thing. We're going to get into that tonight.
So you agree with me?
Agree with you in what way?
Or do you agree with Pastor Clayton Douglas?
I already told you my position.
Is he still on the line?
Yeah, he is. So, yeah, he is. Well, he's not. No, he's not on the line. What you say, Shine? Brother Shine?
Each individual has their own right to choose.
Exactly. They have their own right to choose.
They also have the right to whatever consequences come along with that choice.
You. We need to get Pastor Clay back on so he sees the views that we're entitled to as you, my son, and you, my daughter, and I, Dr. Kent Hopper.
Okay, well, unfortunately, the brother, he's still on 609, but I'm not going to use any more time on that particular subject because I do have other components I want to go into, which is the spiritual side. So you two are going to have to take that on offline.
Can you bring him back on for about 20 seconds so that I can tell him?
Just tell him what you have to tell him. He hear you. Yeah, I ain't cut him off from the line. I'm looking at him. So tell him what you have to tell him.
I want him to be able to rebut anything I say.
Well, maybe later on. So I'm going to mute you. No disrespect.
Okay,
but
let me tell him
peace and love.
Listening.
Cut him off. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead. Tell him what you have to tell him.
I wanted to tell him that Joshua, Yahweh, and Abba have made creatures in his eyes and perfect. And if he disagrees with me, then he is wrong. Because there are two ways to do things. My way and the wrong way. Amen.
All right. Peace and love, brother. Okay, so 609, I know you heard that, but that whole Yahweh concept, that's a different thing. And if you've been listening to this show anytime, you would even know what that shakes down to. So let me make sure. I don't think I'm missing anyone. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Some old frequency busting shit right there. He knew it was other old buddy on the line. They chopped it up before they got on the motherfucking line. Pastors and rabbis, my son and my daughter bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. Ain't no peace and love on that bullshit.
I've never had that happen before. So
I mean, we sitting up talking about indigenous, original shit. And here they come, talking about shit. I mean, ain't the rabbis the one to do the circumcisions with their mouths?
No.
Well, I mean, I could swear I've seen shit like that happen. I've seen the video.
I didn't think rabbis believed in
what's going on here?
Messiah,
hey, I'm telling you.
I hear you, brother.
They do all the time. So,
I hear you, brother. But again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just tripping on this stuff.
No, I know. And again, I really don't give a damn who does what behind consenting adults in their bedroom. That is their business. I have always said that when I speak of transgenderism and the whole LGBT agenda, it is just that. It is an agenda for a spiritual purpose, and it's really deep. So we're going to get into that in just a second. So I'm sorry, sis, did you have something?
No, I think it was really a strange situation you were in there.
Yeah,
it's on topic, sis.
Yeah, but nobody's
psyop.
It's a psyop. Everybody's opinion is their own. And were they going to get on the boob tube or whatever and start debating it? It's just a moot point, because they have taken over this planet with their psyopses. And those gentlemen, no disrespect, but you guys are falling for the old okie doke. And you need to stop doing that because that's not what we're here for. And I don't mean any disrespect, but I went to seminary too. And I do know that it is not our responsibility to monitor everybody else, but to take care of ourselves. We're supposed to work out our own soul salvation and not worry about somebody else's soul salvation. That unfortunately, the preachers are being told that that's their responsibility, but that's not Scripture. Ezekiel does not say that. It doesn't say that I'm supposed to make sure this person believes the way I believe. It doesn't say that. So when you follow your own teachers, you're following the wrong principles. You're supposed to follow what is right for your frequency and for you. And we talk about that all the time. You just can't fall for this stuff. They say in school, when I was in school, they said they killed us because we learned to read the Bible. And I believe that's the biggest lie that ever hit this planet. They killed us because they knew that we knew who we were, and those who said it, they killed them because they didn't want anybody else to know. But if you look at old slave pictures, they have the European standing in the church house when the melanated preacher is preaching. And you don't even ask yourself why. You don't even ask yourself why that European is sitting there with his whole family while you in there preaching, because he want to make sure you don't tell the people the truth. And so you guys sound like you're older gentlemen, and I respect you because I have some wonderful Christian people in my life, but they told us the wrong thing. They told us what the European wanted us to know, and that's what they put it out there for, to keep us in captivity.
Right.
Why would they bring – you look at your book of Ephesians chapter 2. It'll tell you who came, what they came. They were over here, and they brought it over here. They were over there in Europe, and they brought their mess over here, their Christ Jesus. Read it. Read it knowing who you are, and you'll understand what it's saying to you. And with that, I'll just shut up.
Okay. No, you're good, sis. You're good. Go ahead, brother.
My whole thing is, them two talked before they got on this motherfucking line.
Yeah, they did.
Well, in defense, he did say that 256 was on the line, so in his defense, he did say that.
Oh, yeah, but that's my whole point, though. I mean, why do you bring that on here now? That's psyop shit. I mean, we didn't discuss religion every which way to lose.
Upside down and sideways.
We talk about who we are and who we aren't. And to be called my son and my daughter by a rabbi, it don't matter to me that they're elder, you know. They here on my shit. They gotta go. I ain't got time to be politically correct no more.
Yeah.
I understand, brother. I totally understand.
All the stuff that they only are talking about, that's all stuff that's being used against my people.
Yeah.
I mean, if they really feel that strongly about it or feel that strongly for it, being as educated as they are,
claim to be,
then shouldn't they know that they should be doing that at home? I mean, if you really religious, if you're a pastor, a man of God, a man of Yahweh, or Abba, or whoever, where's the fucking love in your heart to leave us the fuck alone? Where's your spirituality on that? Where's your moral judgment on that? On what's still happening to my people on our land? You think I give a fuck about some faggots? It's a war tactic.
Wow.
It's against nature. You need a positive and a negative to make a fucking spark. Everything else is a waste of space and fucking energy.
All right, indeed. Okay, quick, I'm going to try to get into one other, although we had plenty other. I'll get into one other one, and then we're going to move into the main topic. Okay, this article came.
Are they trying to break your voice up? I can't hardly hear you going in and out.
Lord. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can see what you're going to do.
Okay, let me know.
Yeah, you're breaking.
Let me get ready.
You breaking up, sis.
Sis, can you hear me?
You breaking up, though.
Breaking up.
Okay, give me a second. Let me switch off, and then you all can talk while I switch to another one. So hold on a second.
All right.
I usually.
That is so weird that they still hold to old ideas about who cares. These people have been really the news, the media, and everything have us divided against each other over things that we should be united in. And who cares who somebody sleep with? That's not our problem. And what they gonna get out of it when it's all said and done.
Okay. Yeah. All righty. Can you all hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me. Probably don't have an echo. Let me take care of that echo. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
If they weren't trying to force the agenda on people, that's one thing. I mean, like Sis said, what people do in their bedroom is what they do. But when y'all want to force it on everybody and make people think that it's okay, you want your own holidays, you want to have parades and this, that, or the other. I mean, we're not running around having parades saying, hey, I'm normal, I'm a normal dude, I like pussy, yay, yay, yay. I mean, come on, I'm good. Ooh.
Go ahead, brother.
I'm good.
Well, and to be honest, we've talked about this before on the show, so it's nothing new to us because it's really energy thing. And I've talked about this before because the Mama Earth is shifting and the vibratory rate is raising and the feminine energy is high. So those that cannot handle feminine energy and particularly high vibrational feminine energy are becoming tied up also into the whole sexuality issue. Okay, so that's one thing. I
just want to put another spin on that. I mean, we're not doing what we're supposed to do as protectors of Mama. She getting rid of some of us too. Maybe that frequency is stopping some motherfuckers from reproducing because you've been vibrating that low. So she don't even want no more yours here.
True. Absolutely true. So then the other slant to it, and we're just going to go ahead on and get into it. I'll do the rest of the follow-up later. The other slant to the whole transgenderism, because I'm going to focus on transgenderism, that is nothing new, okay? It's only new to the public, okay? The transgenderism specifically is very, very heavily in those secret societies, okay? And we've talked about this before, okay? It is also rooted in some of their initiations, okay? So, again, that's not new. It is just new to the public. The second piece
to the puzzle as far as the secret societies is it goes deeper behind that is because those particular entities, they have problems with feminine energy. So the use of the transgenderism and the gay initiation and rites, okay, is because those entities, the only use they see for the woman is to bring forth physical life. The divine feminine in this realm where we currently are was overthrown. And it was overthrown from a matriarch society to a patriarch society. Okay? So that is the root of the secret societies using transgenderism, which is really them fronting, they're biologically a man, but they are drawing off of the feminine energy, which has the most power in this realm. If you really want to get technical about the whole transgender agenda, and this also goes through the church, okay? All of those church institutions behind closed doors support, use that whole gay thing, especially the Catholic Church. Let's keep it real. Okay? So, you know, that's what we're going to get into tonight. So let's start with the Baphomet. Here we go. Now, I know we had some other people in the queue. Just be patient with me, because now I got to go in on this. So just be patient with me. I'll circle back with you later if you're still in the queue. Okay, we're going to talk about the Baphomet. Okay, now those of you that are not familiar with Baphomet, soon as we get into the description, you'll immediately know what I'm talking about. The Baphomet represents, you will see it in the form of the half goat, half man. So the bottom half is a goat, the upper half is a man, and I'm doing man in quotations, with the goat horns on it, okay? So we're going to get into the breakdown of the Baphomet and how that is the face of the transgenderism that they are pushing. And when I say they, I am talking about, from a spiritual perspective, these entities that are not of this particular realm. Okay, we talked about this several times. They're from other systems, okay? All right? And then their front people are these secret societies who use this particular science to carry out their agendas, okay? So it has been riddled in the entertainment industry as well as the religion as well. It's so deep that the Pope has on his fucking throne the Baphomet. Literally, he sits on his throne, and over him, or right above him, a part of his throne is the Baphomet. Okay, so let me go into a basic definition, and then we're going to go a little deeper. Baphomet. Now, I'm pulling this off of Wikipedia. This is a basic definition, and then we're going to dive deeper. This is Baphomet from medieval Latin, is a deity that of the Knights Templar. Now, according to Wikipedia, but they were falsely accused of worshiping, and that subsequently was incorporated into desperate occult and mystical traditions.
Okay, so remember this occult and mystical traditions, because we're going to dig deeper in it. So history. The name Baphomet first appeared in trial transcripts for the Inquisition of the Knights Templar starting in 1307. It first came into popular English usage in the 19th century during debate and speculation on the reasons for the suppression of the Templars. Okay. Since 1856, the name Baphomet has been associated with a sabbatic goat image drawn by Eliphas Levi, which contains binary elements representing the sum total of the universe. Example, male and female, good and evil, on and off, etc. On one hand, Levi's intention was to symbolize, his concept of the equilibrium of the opposites that was essential to his magnetist notion of the astral light. On the other hand, the Baphomet represents a tradition that should result in perfect social order. The name Baphomet, apparently from mishearing the sacristan reciting the name Muhammad, appeared in July 1098 in a letter by the Crusaders Anselm of Ribamont. A chronicler of the First Crusader, Raymond of Algiers, called the mosque Baphomet. The name Baphomet later appeared around 1195 in the Octanian poem Sinhars, per whatever that is. It's Latin. I know I'm not going to pronounce it correctly. All right, around 1250, a poem bewailing the defeat of the Seventh Crusade by the Artahak refers to Baphomet. Okay, excuse me for butchering these names. Okay, D, Baphomet, is also the title of one of the 4 surviving chapters of an Oxian translation of Roman Lowell's earliest known work. Wow, and that particular book, they're saying, is on instruction of children. Okay. When the medieval order of the Knights Templar was suppressed by King Philip of France on February 13th, 1307, Philip had many French Templars simultaneously arrested and then tortured into confession. Over 100 different charges had been leveled against the Templars. Most of them were dubious, as they were the same charges that were levied against the Cathars. And many of King Philip's enemies he had earlier kidnapped Pope Boniface, the 8th, and charged him with near identical offenses of heresy, splitting and urinating on the cross, and sodomy. Yet Malcolm Barber observes that historians find it difficult to accept that an affair of such enormity rests upon total fabrication. The Chinon parchment suggests that the Templars did indeed spit on the cross, says Sean Martin, and that these acts were intended to simulate the kind of humiliation and torture that a crusader might be subject to if captured by the Saracens, where they were taught how to commit autopsy with the mind only and not with the heart. Similarly, Michael Hogg suggests that the simulated worship of the Baphomet did indeed form part of a Templar initiation ritual. Okay, so that is off of Wikipedia. I'm going to pause in case Brother Sean or Sis, you want to put something on it. before I keep breaking it down.
Yeah. Okay. We know the original Knights Templar were melanated kings.
They were melanated. Melanated, yep.
Mm-hmm. So, Baphomet, basically, according to him, represents duality.
Yes.
And the Saracens, which they say are Moors.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking black nobility and royalty.
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
Be sure.
Absolutely. No, you're right. You're right. And thank you for pointing that out. So, just to be clear, what that Baphomet represents, we're going to go into some of the science of it, because I don't want you to leave here thinking this is spookism. And I do have to give a shout out to our brother Bobby Hemmett, because he was the first one that broke down Baphomet, and you can go to YouTube and search for that. I think he did, like, it's a lecture on there that's like 3-something hours long. So what I'm going to give you is going to be very high level, because I want to tie it into the whole transgenderism agenda. Okay, so I'm sorry, sis, did you have something? Sorry, go ahead.
According to the history that I learned, the Knights Templar was the first bankers, because they.
I said absolutely, yes.
They would protect travelers' valuables as they traveled across the country or the world or whatever, and they would escort it and take their valuables and help them. And then because the French king got ticked off and wanted to get that wealth, it was all about that money, then that's when they killed them. They killed every last one of them, 13 of them, and that's where that Friday the 13th came out. So anyway, it was Friday. So they were the first bankers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where they were collecting gold, they were collecting and protecting the gold of the different monarchs. So if, let's say, for example, it's myself, Sis, and Sean, and we're doing transactions among each other, and we're doing it through gold, the Templars would be the ones that say, okay, well, you know, I bought some items from Brother Sean, you know, that was an ounce of gold, so I would give that gold to the Templars to transport it over to Brother Sean, okay? And because they were getting robbed and all of that, that's when they started formalizing it a little more in places, in physical, stationary places, and then, you know, ultimately we get to where we are today, where supposedly the fiat is backed, well, the fiat is supposed to be backed by gold, or one-to-one relationship where it's not. So very good point, sis. I urge people, and this goes back to what we were talking about when we were getting on this whole voters registration thing, okay? Because none of this shit just popped up out of the blue, okay? It is very deep how these things came into play. So when you are participating in these things, it's your responsibility to know the origins of how they came into play and the reasonings why they came into play. You're absolutely correct. That banking system, the Templars started it because they were guarding the transactions for the particular crown. Okay, those particular European dynasties. Okay, so that whole banking shit started in Europe, started with the melanated folks. Okay, and just like it collapsed, it doesn't work because it works on a system of scarcity. Okay, so this same exact system is what now is over into the Americas, and that's why it's called the New Rome, and which it too will collapse as well. Okay, so this all goes back into what we were talking about with voting. So Sis Cheryl dropped for me the California code that brother was talking about, and I'm going to read that California 220. I'm sorry, 2200. Okay, notice 22 is double manifestation. So just real quick, Article 1, General Provisions, Election Codes. I'm just going to read 22. The registration of a voter is permanent for all purposes during his or her life unless and until the affidavit of registration is canceled by the Secretary of State or the county elections officials for any of the causes specified in this article. Okay, so that kind of validates what you said, sis. So we'll get into that a little later because I do need to stay focused. Sorry, we got so much shit going on. All right, so let's get back to the Baphomet stuff. I want to break down what that means from a scientific perspective. Right, so if you see the picture of a Baphomet, and you can Google this and get the picture and follow along with me if you must, okay? You can see where it is clearly showing duality, okay? So the hand up, the hand down represents as above, so below, okay? This particular thing, it has breast, okay, but it has the male presence. So the male overall presence and the breast represents the duality in the sexual genders, male and female, okay, and that's why the Baphomet is the poster child for transgenders. And we're going to get into that a little later, but let me keep breaking down the science on it. Sitting in the Baphomet's lap, you have the DNA structure. And let me get back to my notes here. Okay, that's the DNA genetic string, and you're going to see both of those strings intertwining. Okay, so that once again represents, kind of goes a little deeper because that's also trying to control or manipulate DNA structures. Okay, also on the Baphomet, you're going to see the Star of David. Now, anytime you see the Star of David, it can represent many things. It can, of course, represent Judaism. That's the most obvious. But really, Judaism is rooted off of Kabbalism. That Kabbalah is based on the flower of life. Okay? That Star of David also represents as above, so below. It's two triangles. One is up, one is upside down. As above, so below. But it is part of the flower of life. And it represents the Merkaba. Okay, we've talked about the Merkaba before. That is your spiritual body. Your spiritual energy center. Okay, so now if we go back to the as above, so below with the one hand up, the one hand down. On the one up hand is coagulate. Okay, so I went and looked that up. I think I pulled this off the etymology dictionary, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, that word is a verb, action. It comes from the early 15th century, to clot, to congeal, become curdled, change from a liquid into a thickened mass, to make, to clot. Actually, I think they use that in the medical field also. Okay, the clotting of the blood, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, okay, I thought so. Okay, so from Latin, past particles, to cause, to curdle, collect. Let me expand this. Okay, hold on a second, y'all. Sorry. Okay, the earlier verb, glagi, 1400 from Old French. So that's what that particularly means. The other one, now that's the up hand. The down hand, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's magician. Let me just make sure. Let me blow back up that picture, because I'm reading from some notes. Nope, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. The coagulate is the below, and then the above is to solve. Okay, my bad. Okay, so the hand below is coagulate. So meaning, and then the above is to solve. So what they're really saying right there is they are solving, or they call themselves using sacred sciences to solve from matter to energy, and from energy to matter. Okay? So that's what they're trying to say there. Now, when we get to Baphomet's crown, if you're looking at the picture that I'm looking at, because there's several versions, but if you look at the one where he has like a lotus flower out the top of his head, okay, lotus represents your crown chakra. So anytime you see that symbol of lotus and folks have it on the top of their head, they're telling you that that's their crown chakra, okay? And we've talked about this before, the different energy centers. So that crown chakra represents the higher realms. So in other words, they are using this particular picture to represent mastering of the sciences, the spiritual sciences, in a physical form. All right, so let me go back to my notes because I had something else. Let me look at the picture. Bear with me. I got to keep jumping to different screens. One day this will get... Okay, so also you'll see that same Star of David on the goat god's Baphomet third eye. So that should be pretty self-explanatory there, okay? So that Star of David, which is really the flower of life, or the Merkabah, on the third eye, again, that is, you know what the third eye is. That is your spiritual eye to the higher realms, okay? So it's no accident that they have that flower of life, or the Merkabah, there as well. Okay, so the wings on Baphomet represents fallen angels to the folks that we're going to talk about. Okay, now it may not mean that from an original intent, but the people that we are talking about that are using this particular science, that's using the whole Luciferian concept, that is their homage to the fallen angels, okay, or the folks that are coming from these other lands, these other beings coming from these other lands that have conquered our particular realm, okay? So when you hear folks talking about riding the goat, and you hear these different secret societies that worship the goat. They are worshiping the Baphomet. Okay, and then the moons, they should be pretty self-explanatory. That is, you have one moon up that's light, the bottom moon below is dark. That is like night and day. Okay, and you can also look at it from a higher realm spiritual perspective, the heavens, to the moon below, meaning the underworld. Okay, so I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on that whole description of the Baphomet before we move on.
I just want to add something about the Star of David. The triangle represents, if I'm not mistaken, air, fire, and water.
You're absolutely right. The elements, right?
Elements in which we're made out of. Because it's us it actually represents, but they've taken it to be a symbol to one of the fallen ones that we have. Who did you say mention his name? Martin Luther? No, something Rothschild. Rothschild was born on a certain day, and they gave that star to him as a symbol of his birth. One of the Rothschilds. So, I just want to mention that, and also in our priestly sciences, the goat was supposed to represent the sin offering. When the priest in the Old Testament was out doing their sacrifices of animals to the Most High or whoever. That's part of the Old Testament. They can probably change it. It's all totally different. But they used the goat as the scapegoat, and that phraseology came from there. And so the priest would put the sins of all the people on the goat and let him loose into the mountains, because they were usually mountain goats, wild mountain goats, and the goat would carry the sins away of the people. So that's before they started all the sacrifices, I guess, or as they were doing the sacrifices in the Old Testament. So I just want to mention that. That's what that goat stuff was before they got to this other stuff.
Right. And it still all ties in, because when we were reading Wikipedia, which that tripped me out that they put that much into the little Wikipedia thing. But Wikipedia tells you that this particular concept came through. Well, they say that the Templars are denying that it came through them. Okay, but then they go in to, kind of throw in the church with it as well. So it would still make sense why that whole Star of David and mentioning of goats and lamb sacrifices are riddled in religion as well, because all of that came from those secret societies, which are drawing on the sciences of the realm.
Well, you know, Trump has his stuff. He's one of them Knights Templar or something or other, and his stuff and the Scottish Rites.
Mm-hmm.
They have a cave where they found some of the sacred stuff of they supposed to be our ancestors. They found all that over there supposedly in Scotland, and Trump I think owns that golf course over there. So and, they do rituals all the time.
Sure.
The presidents, they do all kinds of rituals, and some of the magic, the books that they found of our ancestors were in that area as well. And they have utilized that information to do their stuff to control this planet, because they found all our stuff. And plus, some of us taught them that stuff. Not only did they find it, but they were taught by some of the ancestors, some of the melanated people. That's all I want to say on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very good point, sis. Okay, so now here's the thing. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother. Mm-hmm.
We know historically speaking, everybody they demonize, that has to be questioned. Look at the way they demonize us.
Yep.
The image wasn't created until 1307. So it's definitely not something that's deeply rooted in culture. And like Sis said, scapegoat. The Knights Templar were the scapegoats. You mentioned how they were protectors. They was protecting the people's gold. And we know everybody wants the gold, and we know the things they do for gold. Whether we talking melanated or otherwise, because it was melanated people back then. Empires were being overthrown long before so-called Caucasoid came on the planet.
Yes. Agreed.
So, I mean, it's all part of the psyops, like what the topic is, because we created everything. It takes us away from knowing that. And creating everything, we know that nothing is everything and that it's all energy.
Yes.
So to have us focus on a physical thing, which was created, is basically a sigil.
Yes. Explain what a sigil is, Brother Sean.
The sigil is basically a symbol, like the McDonald's arches or anything like that, something that represents something.
Right.
You either recognize the sigil, you're programmed to recognize it, or the sigil keeps you confused and you don't know why. You keep looking at it, you don't know why you keep looking at it, you don't know what the hell it means, but every time you look at it, you...
Right. Indeed. I'm glad you brought that up. We have 1 minute before we go into overtime, so if you want to stay with us, if you're in the chat, you have to dial 929-477-3858, 929-477-3858. Indeed, Brother Sean, indeed. Okay, so let's, I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
If you want to talk about these sigils, these symbols, there's so many symbols that worships occultism, like the rams on the Dodge truck, you know, and the chevrons and all kinds of little symbols. They show you everything.
Or the Saturn on Toyota. Yep, but go ahead.
They already indoctrinating you in occultism or whatever they trying to call it. Because occult means hidden, but that's not what they doing with it. They worshiping that stuff. So, and you and me, unaware of things, gravitate to it because they actually brainwash you with it on TV and commercials, and nearly every sign. I studied it and I can't remember all the symbols, but it was so many. You'd be astounded what each one of those means.
I agree.
So they got this stuff out there for us to get familiar with it and gravitate to it. And I love my Chevy. I love my Dodge. I love, because you like the symbolism that it gives you.
Exactly. You like that, and in many cases, it's the sacred geometry that you are resonating with. So they are playing on that because it is embedded in your DNA because you are a part of the all in this realm, and the all is a part of you. So those particular sigils with the different angles, okay, so the different angles or geometric shapes represents a number, which represent, or numbers, which represents a frequency vibration.
Right.
Okay. So that's all they're doing. Or like we've been saying, casting spells.
Exactly.
Okay, because spells come with words. They come from on paper, written down words, as well as symbols, as well as numbers. Because those are the sacred sciences of this realm, which really you are really the masters of and the creator of it. It's just because we have fallen spiritually, we are not recognizing it. And so some other entities have come in and used those sciences for their benefit and to run a psyops on you to keep you asleep. Because when you are awakened, then that same Merkaba, or some people call it Merkaba, or that Star of David that you see, imagine that Star of David, them two triangles, one above, one below, and imagine them spinning, okay? When they spin, that's your Merkaba, okay? And you sit inside of that. That's your energy force, okay? When you are awakened at a higher vibration, you're not even seen by lower vibrational energies. So if you're not seen, you're definitely not controlled. And when you are vibrating high, you see through the matrix and above the matrix. And you're able to recognize the psyops and the spells. Okay? So this is the science behind a lot of this stuff that has been going on, which is being shut down. Okay? Because as Mama shift and we shift, and as Brother Sean said earlier, it don't take all of us to be on board for it to shift, because it's shifting anyway. Okay? All of this stuff is being revealed and it is being destroyed. It will not go into the new frequency. So all of this stuff is falling away. Okay, so just to make you aware, there are things that are put before us through the media and entertainment, and Brother 832 talked about it, Brother Sean talked about it, so I'm going to just put you up on game. Some of you may already know this. If you don't know it, I want you to research it. You know, never believe what I say. It's not about believing what I say. It's knowing for yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about one particular event that the entertainment industry puts on that is highly ritualistic. All of the events that they put on are rituals. Let's be clear. All of the events that the entertainment industry puts on, all of those damn award shows, they're rituals. Okay? But one in particular, they just throw out in your face really, really, like, loud and clear. And that's an event called the Met Gala. And you see them flashing across the television when these particular entertainers / celebrities / stars go to, you see them showing their outfits. And once you start knowing the sigils or symbols, as Brother Sean said, you're going to go, damn, it's right in your face. Okay? That Met Gala, you will see whatever new celebrity has gotten hot for that particular year, you're going to know that they've really, really made it when you see them at that Met Gala. Okay? And usually you'll see the women as initiates, they're going to be in a red dress, and you're going to see them with some type of Baphomet appearance. Okay? So either they have some type of wings on the dress, they'll have some type of Star of David on the dress, you'll see them dress up as a priest. Okay, that's representing that they are going into a high priestess role in whatever order that they're serving in those secret societies. Okay, you'll see the men with literally, it tripped me out to literally see the men with either the Baphomet on their clothing or that Star of David with the circle around it, which is a ritual sigil. Okay, so that's just one of the award shows. Okay, the next thing I want to point out is that you're going to also notice certain celebrities, particularly the women. You'll see them literally, their costume will be literally the Baphomet. Literally. You'll see them with the wings on the shoulder or sometimes the wings on the head. You'll see them with the pretty much the get up as the Baphomet. Madonna does it all the fucking time. She's famous for doing it. So is Beyonce. Because that is, they're serving and showing the world that they are high priestesses in whatever their particular order that they're doing in their secret society behind closed doors. Okay?
Also,
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Also, I heard that Taylor Swift is a high priest. And that other girl that, I can't remember her name, Katy Perry?
Yeah, yeah, and you know when when Taylor Swift got issued into the order, right?
Mhm.
You know what ritual that was that they did before the public is when Kanye West quote embarrassed her.
Oh yeah.
And she had on the red dress.
Shaman ritual.
Exactly. So that was a ritual being played out. Now, okay, this is where it's going to get funky. And you're going to have to do your own research. You're going to have to use your own discernment. Now, I don't know this for sure because I don't dress these people, nor have I had any relations with them, okay? But I'm just putting out here what I have seen other people research, and the evidence strongly suggests what I'm about to break down. Now, it is said that Madonna is a transgender. It is said that Beyonce is a transgender. It is said that Taylor Swift is a transgender. So pretty much any one of those high priestesses are transgenders, okay? Which would make sense with them incorporating that Baphomet into their repertoire and taking on the role of a high priestess, because that Baphomet, we already discussed, represents the duality of male-female, okay? So really, this is what we're getting into as they are ushering in the age of transgenderism, okay? Because they were already doing it behind closed doors. Now they're bringing it forefront to the public because the divine feminine energy has returned. So it is a spell that they're trying to cast among the people, to put these high priestesses and the transgenderism before the public just for the sole purpose of keeping a patriarch energy in control and into play. It's not going to work, but that is really what's going on, okay? All right, so I'm going to pause in case you all want to put something on it, and then I'm going to look for a video that someone broke down called Baphomet, the Transgender God, to give you a little more insight. Oh, excuse me. Go ahead, brother.
Like you said, that's been going on a long time. Over in Japan, all their theater was done by men, and all the parts of women were played by men.
Yes.
I just pushing it to the forefront. That's when I would say things got off balance, because people were already doing it. As long as it wasn't out in the public and being pushed on everybody. But you really can't say how long or how many were doing it. Now they're programming people to be that way. I just don't see nature making a mistake of confusing people like that, where you think that you're something that you're not, unless all of this came about during the fall, which it obviously had to.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's a low vibrating frequency, and I just don't get how people can think that someone that's in that frequency can help them achieve anything.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Like you got all these cult groups or whatever you want to call them, even in the conscious community, so-called conscious community, polygamy and and all this other stuff. You know, getting the sisters to sleep with each other. You got the brothers sleeping with each other.
Yep.
All type of stuff. I mean, how can that be beneficial to us as a people? It's all psyop.
And it's psyops, and then let's put it from a spiritual perspective. It is really an out of balance of energies, okay? Because if you think about it, a lot of those cult leaders that are masking themselves as conscious community leaders, they use sex behind the scenes. Now, they ain't telling the public, let's be clear now. They ain't telling the public how they getting down behind the scenes. But pretty much, I mean, Sean, you know, and you know I know, pretty much all of them behind the scenes are getting down like that with the polygamy and the homosexuality, blah, blah, blah. And it is because it is an unbalance of energy. They are stuck in the root chakra and doing group sex and all of that type of stuff. It is an unbalancedness in that root chakra, and they are stuck there, okay? So they're trying to make it beyond the heart chakra, because the heart chakra is the gateway to move up to the higher realms, the other chakras, okay? So they can't even make it up to that, quote, quote, 33rd degree, which is the highest degree that they tell the average Masons, and that's really just the back of the base of your skull or the spine, okay? So They can't make it past that. And it is said that even the act of sodomy, is because the person, from a spiritual perspective, is trying to tap into that spinal energy from that adubla obligatum. They're trying to tap into that. And that is why also it was riddled in the secret societies. Okay, so it was more of an energy thing. Okay, so but a lot of people are not entering overstanding why they are having these urges and getting down like this. Okay, it's the scavenging for energy. Because when you are aligning your chakras, when you are balancing your chakras, you don't need to cipher energy from any other entity or being. Matter of fact, you are a creator of energy. You are connected to an unlimited energy source from the cosmos, from Mama Earth. Okay, so those that, scavenger for energy, they are unable to do it. That's why I say it is an unbalanced event. Okay, so right. So anyone that's involved in those activities, as far as their sexuality, again, that's your business. But you're responsible for knowing why you do what you do. That's not my concern. But those that are participating in the polygamous situations and the sexual rituals that I described, et cetera, you need to take close inventory on why you're participating in it and who you're participating in it with, what they're getting out of it. Because I'm telling you, it is an imbalance of the energies. And it's only going to get worse as the vibration rises higher, because these entities can't deal with these higher energies. Okay? All right. So this video that I'm about to play, it is called, and it's only 8 minutes. It's not long. It's called Baphomet, the Transgender God, and it's off of the YouTube channel Govan Wittenberg. So here we go. Now, I just had it. Yep, it's only 8 minutes. So here we go, family.
The transgender agenda is an agenda that has many levels to it. The most obvious being the plan to make and integrate into society transgendered individuals. This means turning female women into men and men into women. It is important to know that most, if not all, Hollywood celebrities, including actors, actresses, sportsmen and women, singers, newscasters and any other individuals who you see regularly on television, the stage and the silver screen are transgendered. Before I continue, it is important to say that personally it is not up to me or anyone else to judge the choices that people make in life, including choosing to change one's sex. It is the Most High alone who will judge individuals on their choices made and actions done in life. What I have a problem with is the deception element. Hollywood and bloodline families, the Illuminati, have made and cultivated this deception over many, many years. Why keep it a secret then, you may ask? I will cover this later on. Now, bloodline families are rife all over the world, but most of you will have heard mainly about the British monarchy, the Rothschilds, the Astors and the Rockefellers. Other well-known bloodline families include the Bush family and the Kissingers. If you research, you will find that most of the well-known and A-list celebrities belong to bloodline families. These families run everything in the world and they refer to themselves as the Illuminated Ones. They are members of secret societies such as the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, Brotherhood of the Snake or Dragon, and the Knights Templar. These are just a few. There are many more, and they are all connected to each other, and they all strive towards the same goal of implementing the New World Order, also called the One World Order. The biggest, darkest secret to these families is that they all worship Lucifer. They are intent on bringing the souls of humans to hell with them by creating chaos on earth and turning everything that the Most High has created on its head by tampering with his creation through lies, deception, and cultivating a greedy and sinful world by many methods. Everything that the Most High created, they want to change and infect for the very worst. The transgender agenda is one small part. Bloodline families are made up of transgendered individuals. It is plainly obvious to those of us that woke up, and once you have seen one, you see them all very clearly. Take the Bush family as an example. Barbara Bush, her daughter and her grandchildren are all transgendered. It is not clear how the mothers get their instant families, but you can be sure that the mothers did not birth any children because they are men whose gender was changed at birth to the opposite sex. There are many opinions as to where and how they get the children in the first place, but one thing is certain: the children have the same DNA as the father to keep the bloodline intact. Going back to the subject to Hollywood. How does it make you feel to know that you are being lied to? That your favorite artist, singer, pin-up is not the sex you thought it was? How does it feel to know your little girls have posters on their bedroom walls of Justin Bieber, when in actuality it should be Justina? I will just say here that idolatry is a sin. And this whole transgender agenda is one huge reason why it's wrong and sinful to lust over another person, never mind lust over a transgendered individual who is keeping it secret. They want men to lust over men and women to lust over women. They want little girls to have crushes on women and young boys to have crushes on men. It's as simple as that. The elite, as I said before, want everything abnormal to be accepted as normal. It is legal in some countries now for people to have relationships with their dogs, and they are pushing for it to be legal for adults to have sex with children. Yes, you heard me correctly. The age of consent between homosexual males has been lowered and lowered over the years. Things which people would never have imagined before are now being shown as being the norm. You think Sodom and Gomorrah was bad? As it stands, the world is a million times worse than that already. Stop accepting the fodder and lies. Stop accepting the distorted and changed history of the world. Stop accepting the false theory of evolution. Stop accepting the images you see on the television as truth.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so just to reiterate, and of course I don't subscribe to the religious stuff that the person threw in there, but I did want to play that video so once again you can start paying attention to the psyops or the agenda that's being pushed forward with transgenderism and how it is tied to the Baphomet order, and it is being put forward through the entertainment industry, and specifically a lot of the genders of these entertainers are really swapped, especially with the female entertainers, okay? But again, from a spiritual perspective, this is only being done to try to keep suppressing the feminine divine energy which has returned to the planet and which will be cleaning up all of the fuckery that has been going on. Okay, so I'll pause in case you all want to put something on it so I can look for my next stuff. I'm missing so much stuff. It's disappearing all of a sudden.
From a psyop perspective, guys looking at what they thinking are women. Busting over them, in love with them, I think they are. And then all of a sudden, they're attracted to a man. I mean, is it programmed deep down inside where if people are vibrating at a low enough frequency to get locked in, that they don't care no more?
Yeah, stuck in that root chakra. Stuck in the root chakra.
It's either they become the energy vampire or they're the victim. And thinking that's something that comes from another realm.
It does.
They're melanated beings from other realms that vibrate on low frequencies. Period.
Right. Right.
Okay. From a natural standpoint of view, our ancestors say that we grew from the land. We are connected to Mother. She is the one that, quote unquote, fleshed us. Just like the Mother puts the flesh on us, as above, so below. And we're not doing what we're supposed to do.
That is correct.
There's got to be some type of sick punishment. It has to be, because it's a weapon that's being used.
It is a weapon. It is a weapon.
But I do want to say this, though. As far as for the first gentleman, the pastor, he brought up some legitimate concerns that I had seen. I ain't really had no gripe with him. But it was the co-conspirator thing. And I believe what actually set me off was that whole my son and my daughter shit from a rabbi.
Yeah, because he was okay until, well, I had a problem with wanting to, put both of them on the line to have a debate. Number one, you clearly don't listen to the show, because if you did, you would know that I'm not religious. So, that's the only part where I'm like, okay, well, I know what time this is. So, they can just take that mess somewhere else, because I've stated my point pretty clearly. And that's my point on people's sexuality. This is not the first time I've discussed it. I've always said that I don't care. That's none of my business. I am talking from a vibratory frequency perspective on why an agenda is being pushed. And it's deeper than what is being told. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Well, first I'm going to speak to the preachers, about the preachers. I get upset because they have so much influence over our people. They are so godlike in our people's mindsets for some reason. They can make a difference if they just get that barrier out of their head and understand you're still in captivity because of what they brought to you, that doctrine they brought to you. But I also want to talk about another little nasty subject, and that is the gene splicing that has been going on.
We get into that. Yep.
Oh, you are. It has been happening on this planet for so many years. And this may answer these preachers' problems. A lot of these people that you see are people because they are spliced with something else.
Absolutely. I love you, sis. See, this is why we three rocks with each other because we feel in the ethers what needs to be discussed. Because, yes, absolutely, that is on the list because we're going to break it down about the gene slicing. Now, Brother Sean was saying that it has to be a curse with this being brought on. And the curse was our fall because, remember, in order for this fuckery to be going on, our particular realm has to be at a lower vibratorial state for these entities even to exist.
Right.
Okay, so I agree. That's where the curse part comes into play because of the realm being at a low vibratory state. Okay, so very, very good point. And because in the physical matter came a set of things as far as duality and all of that, etc. And once we hit that, our physical matter, we kept falling from a vibratorial state. And Mama had to keep having catastrophes and destroying our motherfucking asses to correct it. Okay? But we kept, the planet or her kept lowering the vibrations. Okay, so I agree with Brother Sean. These entities are only able to be here because of the vibratorial vibration being lowered. So the fight is on to keep the spell on Mama to keep a patriarch system going, and part of that Baphomet agenda, not part of it, all of that Baphomet agenda that Luciferian concept is using, that's their purpose, okay, for the populace to give consent to it. They think to keep the shit going. Well, not think, I say it like this. They're hoping to keep it going, but it's not going to keep it going because this is cleanup time. Let's be clear. It's cleanup. So it don't matter who gets it or not. If you're not resonating where you're supposed to be, it don't matter if you melanated, Caucasian, red man, it don't matter. Mongoloid, if you're not vibrating at the frequency that you need to be, which is a higher frequency, your ass is out of here. Because she cannot remain out of balance any longer. And she is showing us that she is getting herself back in balance. You had an article coming out talking about Iceland is melting at a faster pace than they anticipated. An article came out about Antarctica where they found lost continents below the ice, okay? She is showing us every day that she is cleaning up, okay? So as you see a lot of crazy events unfolding, it just has to be. You're going to see that chaos because that is the destroying of the old system, the old things, of the lower vibratorial things. And you're going to see a lot of people that cannot handle the energy. They're not going to know how to balance it. So they in turn are going to be chaotic. So you're going to see people overly sexualized. Okay, that's part of just being stuck in that lower chakra. They can't get it together. Okay, so very good point. So now we're going to go into Sis's point about the different entities and the gene slicing. And damn it, y'all, I'm going to have to pull this particular YouTube channel because they don't do any talking on their YouTube. You literally have to watch the videos and read what the person is saying, and they're showing you symbols. So go back to the sigils, and they're breaking everything down for you. Now, in the particular video, I had already written this down, but then I ran across that person's videos, and I'll get it for you. I don't have the YouTube channel, but they were subliminally speaking on gene slicing. And so now they didn't say this, but I know it because I had previously written it down. That was just put before me to confirm it. This gene slicing is being done using the X divine feminine chromosome. That is the oldest, that is the strongest chromosome. All things derive from that chromosome. Okay? We've talked about this before. The Y is a derivative of the X. So that Y chromosome is just the broken off leg of the X. Okay? So what these entities are doing, or what they have done, and now they're behind the scenes, and I would agree with you, sis, they're doing it now with genders. So that particular video gave an excellent example, and I apologize. I could have sworn I wrote it down, but now I don't see it. Go figure. Shows where you chromosome, and then you put a Y chromosome, and then in the middle, he showed a gateway circle where the other X chromosome was being manipulated. So that X is being broken apart to make like a Z, or intertwine the X, X, and Y, etc. So that is what is going on from a genealogy perspective with transgenderism. That is where they're trying to go. In other words, trying to create a merged species. So now I'm getting ready to get into something that's going to fuck you up, if that hadn't already. Okay, so if you take that X chromosome and you turn it, if you rotate it certain way, you're going to get the cross. Okay? We all know what that cross is representing from a religious perspective. And it also happens to be the symbol of the Knights of Templar, I may add. Okay? And some say that cross represents death. Some say it represents as above, so below. But I am telling you from a deeper perspective, it is showing you the manipulation of the X chromosome. What that cross is. And also the symbol of Mama Earth, they are claiming they created a sigil, okay, meaning a symbol, where it is an X, I'm sorry, not an X, it is a cross with a circle around it, okay? So in other words, Mama was overthrown and conquered through manipulation of that X chromosome and intertwined with religion, that male patriarch system, okay? That X, here we go. We already talked about you can break it off, and then that's where your Y comes from. The Y chromosome is a derivative of the X. Also with the X, do you all remember the TV show V? They came out with that motherfucker twice. I think it was in the 60s that it first came out. I didn't see the one in the 60s. And then they had it in the early 2000s, which was slamming, by the way. Oh, it's the 70s? Okay,
yeah.
I never saw the original one. Okay, but the new one, when they remade it, it was motherfucking slamming. I would encourage people to go back and look at it because it is talking about the reptilian beings. Okay, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, where those beings come from other particular realms and how they were created by other higher beings, and we are guessing that it's the Anunnaki that they were created by. That V represents their particular chromosome, which is split in half from the X. So literally, if you slice the X in half, you have the V. Okay? So literally, what this is describing with this gene slicing, if you want to just look at it from the simple XY perspective, they are using X chromosome, which is the derivative of everything, to slice and dice these different beings and gender as well. Okay, so I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on that.
It's V came out in '83. Robert England was in there. V came out in '83. Robert England was in there. We got to play Freddy Krueger. So
oh, what? But so was that the first one that came out?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it was in the '60s. Okay. And I never seen that one, so I do want to put that out there. I saw the later one, which all of a sudden they just canceled it. I thought it was doing well as far as from show perspective, and then it was suddenly canceled. But that was that particular show was showing you the reptilian species, but the name of the show V is telling you what their chromosome makeup is. It is a V, which is a split in half X. Okay, which is not natural to this realm. So that is what Brother Sean is saying when he's talking about not natural. We're getting into the science of it. It's a slicing of the particular genes. And then that particular guy, he also showed, I'm like, damn, where the X was literally taken apart and made into the division sign, okay? So meaning dividing up the particular genealogy, and the dot in that division sign represents the essence or the dot in the soul, okay? All right. Let me see. I'm going by my notes, so bear with me. Okay. I think I've covered that all. So I'll pause in case Sister Brother Sean, you want to put something else on it. If not, I'm going to go into a video with Brother Bobby Hemmett. Now, if you want to know more on the science side of Baphomet, like I said, Brother Bobby Hemmett has a bunch of YouTube videos on it. There is one that's like 3-something hours long. I think Brother Panic did something on it as well. You could definitely check those out. So, Sister, Brother Sean, did you want to put anything else on it before I go into Brother Bobby's video?
I just want to say something to those preachers if they were listening. I came up in the church and we were taught all that stuff is so wrong. But they're not only doing gene splicing on people, they're doing chemical changes on people in the food and everything. So these people have no choice in what happened to them, because they were done to them. All this stuff was done to them after birth or during that transition forward, when their hormones were vulnerable to change. These scientists we have are doing this to people. I mean, you can't stand up there and say, you're doing wrong. They're doing what they were changed to do. They messing with the creation. So if you guys want to have a fight about that, go fight them folks who's doing all that crud.
And to even, enhance what you're saying is through the bloodlines. That is being done. You know what I'm saying? So meaning the entertainers and the political world, they tie back to these secret societies, which I've already told you is riddled with those type of ritualistic and the worshiping and the gold and why they're doing that. But they are training their particular bloodline to take on those roles, and they're saying it for the purpose of harnessing the energy and keeping the bloodlines pure. So in other words, some of these people could be born in a family that has pushed this particular ideology on them, where they are forced into playing transgender roles. Either they're forced into being a transgender or was groomed into being a transgender, or either they are playing the role in the public as a transgender, and in private they are something else. So you're absolutely right. If we're going to talk about blaming the people, let's talk about that. And talk about the very churches and religions, that you subscribe to. If you're going to talk about it, talk about that. Talk about the root of the problem. Not the individuals expressing and being who they are. That is what it is. You're going to talk about it, get to the root. Talk about the science behind it. And that's what most people don't want to do. They want to go down to the ladder and tell people what they should be doing behind closed doors instead of going to the root of the issue. The root of the issue is you have low vibrational beings who have put forward their agenda in the plane for the purpose of controlling the plane.
Right.
From a vibration standpoint, because that's how they get down in their realm. Which, by the way, most of their realms were riddled with war. Some of their realms were just flat out destroyed by war. They ravished their realms from a resource perspective. And you could go back and read all of those ancient texts that talk about it. That's why they brought their stinking asses over here. So these are entities and beings that cannot live in harmony with nature and the realms. So everything that they do is artificially created. So transgenderism is about artificial slicing of the genetics. That's what it's about. Because time is up. It's up. So people are literally going to make a decision from a conscious perspective on where they want to fall, what realm they want to dance in. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with if you want to dance in that realm, boo, that is your business. I'm just here to let you know that it's not going to be happening in this realm, because this realm was hijacked. So even when we talked about the land early and the indigenous people, that is why all of this has to be cleaned up. So the corporate system, the entertainment system, the idea of scarcity, the idea of money, all of that shit is being done away with. Because we're bringing the realm back into balance. That is our responsibility. Now, those that are indigenous to the land that don't want that responsibility, that's fine, but you're not going to be able to remain in the realm. If you still want that corporate system, etc., you're going to have to move with those entities into their next realm with that. And that even goes into the machinist. What do you call the machine? I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Damn. When they're merging machine and man, I can't think of it right now. Transhumanism. Transhumanism. Okay? That's along with that. Okay? All of that. It's not going to go on in this realm. That is why I'm telling you, they are going to keep pushing going to Mars because they have to get out of this realm. Okay? That's why they're watching Antarctica very closely. But it's the cleanup of the realm. That is what's really going on. And damn, I had another point and I can't think of it. Damn it, I hate when it happens. It'll come back to me. So before I go into the clip, I think you want to come back on. If not, I'll put you in mute. But I think I seen you pop back up. And everybody else dropped off that was in the queue. And I guess one of them was another preacher, so whatever. All of them dropped off, by the way.
I see.
All right. Uh-huh.
You could also look at transgenderism as a microcosm of the macrocosm of terraforming mother.
Yes.
I mean, they've altered her and changed her story to be that patriarchy.
Yep.
She's been demonized.
Yep.
And the man is the masculine or the male is supposed to be able to do everything that mother can do.
Mm-hmm.
Even have babies. That's why they're putting wombs in men now.
Yep.
I mean, perversion. I mean, like in Superman, how you had Bizarro, who was made from Superman's DNA, but he was a backwards version of him.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much that's going into this that we actually give the power to.
Yes.
Because they don't have the power over us.
No.
And us losing our connection with mother. Yep. We'll talk about grounding. Going out there, earthing or grounding, standing in the soil barefooted, gazing up at the sun. Like the ancient trees used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, our ancestors said that we grew out of the earth. We didn't come here from someplace else. That's why it's our responsibility and duty to take care of mother. And they know that because they put it in the age group. They said the indigenous people are the only ones who could properly take care of the land.
Yep. Absolutely.
We think that we need this fake technology. I mean, They actually give us a choice. Everything is by consent.
It really is.
But our people seem to think that they can't make it without them. Stockholm syndrome. Oh, what else is it gonna do if the white man ain't around no more? If his jobs ain't around, how I'm gonna eat? Your mama been providing for you before a white man ever popped up.
Exactly, and providing much better for you.
And also what you were saying about places where it's melting and they seeing continents under them. Maybe Mama about to set up some areas again and just open up that area. Maybe
Yeah,
she's
I
stealing
thought
parts
about
of
that.
herself off.
Yeah, I thought about that.
If you ain't vibrating at the right frequency, you ain't going to be able to make it over there. You're going to be stuck here.
Yeah.
In this third dimensional realm. Your body is not going to be able to make the necessary changes. It's not going to be able to accept the energy that's coming in.
Right.
And what the rest of the world and everybody else have to accept, I'm not going to apologize for it, that energy hidden here on the Americas.
Yes,
That's
it is.
That's why so many of y'all are trying to get here. I guess y'all figured that y'all didn't emulated us enough or think that we didn't sell low enough or y'all didn't ate enough of us and used enough melanin products to think that you can absorb the energy, but guess what? You're going to burn the fuck up. That's the hell that y'all should be worried about. Not that biblical hell. The hell is that we heating this bitch up.
Now that's for sure.
I've heard that the sun has actually moved like 90 miles closer to the earth. Just look at the seasons. They doing everything they can to kick this winter season off. That's why they spring headed.
Yeah, don't they? One day it's 80 and the next day it's 30. You're like, how's that possible?
But
Mama don't make drastic
changing.
shifts like that. Yeah.
I'm in Cleveland and I saw a ladybug yesterday. I'm still seeing insects that ain't supposed to be out doing.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. Because she has already heated up, but they're just masking it.
Or trying to.
Right. Or trying to mask it. And, again, that's really what these false flags are about, is to get you off the focus of the spiritual shift that is being brought into fruition physically, point where it can be seen now. No doubts about it. You know, California, they're reporting it, and down south in the southern states, they're reporting and recording these things in the sky. Okay? So absolutely it's shaking into that. Let me bring back on 832, and then we should have a couple of more minutes because I wanted to also go into, let's not forget about the Matrix. Sis Cheryl shared a powerful video of a brother breaking some stuff down, and then we're going to let Bobby talk about some things too. So let me bring back on Brother 832. Hey, Brother, peace and love. Your line is open.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And in response to both of these men of the cloth, and I think it's interesting they use of the cloth, and if they call themselves Caucasian, white, Eurasian, Arab, Jew, or anything other than the original people who all these concepts came from, you need to take a serious, strong look in the mirror. If you're still on this show, still listening to me speak to you right now, and you claim you're a Christian, and of those 300 pedophile priests in the same state that America's dad is in prison, and they're not joining them behind bars, then you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, as the young people say. For that rabbi, that's supposed to mean master, not teacher, master. If you want to come over here and tell my sister, my brother, that you're a master over them by, you think, implying with that hypnotic, soft manner in which you think you can speak to us that we're supposed to drop in the sunken place. Get out.
You picked that up too. Huh?
Because when you sit there and call yourself a Jew, and the letter J is only 500 years old in the English translation, you use the Hebrew language, but you speak Yiddish, that's if you're a so-called Ashkenazi. Then you turn around and claim the state of Israel, which does not exist, and I know Sister Sandra will back me up and correct any error that I put out, that it is a name change from Yaqub to Israel. Israel is a people, not a patch of dirt. And even as they lie, as you participate calling yourself a rabbi, sir, they don't call themselves Israelites. They say Israeli, being nationalists, just like the president of this nation, white nationalists, to displace the original people of that land, to lay claim to something they do not have authority, to also claim to be something that they even in public profess not to be, because not a single blood in their bloodline is Semitic. They also, in the same breath, 98% of so-called Jews, and I'm stressing what they claim as who's a Jew, is Ashkenazim. And Ashkenazim, which disregards the Sephardic, which is out of Spain, and you know who the Moors and all the Spaniards are. They totally disregard the Falasha because you are a bigot, being a white nationalist. They are the only ones with genetic link uninterrupted, and please, Sandra, correct me at any point that I'm in error, as the tribe of Dan. Not a patch of dirt, not anywhere on the planet. The people, the bloodline, as the sister keeps trying to inform you, is uninterrupted. Now, when we continue to have people like these, agent provocateurs of the agenda of oppression, because if you throw Christianity at me, my simple response to you is, please go back and find your God in Europe, because it ain't here. You want to claim that you're a Jew or a rabbi? Please go find yourself back in Khazar, because Israel that you forced the American government through collusion, through treaties broken through the Versailles, through the Balfour Declaration, which is a fraud given to the world by Rothschild. Now, this ain't nothing I'm saying. This is what they say. Okay? To go and carve up Canaan or Palestine, where you do not originate. Go take your ass back to Eastern Europe, where you say you're from, because 98% of worldwide Jewry claim to be Ashkenazi. And according to their bloodline, and this is to underscore your statements tonight, my sister, as a psyops, they have a genetic marker, do they not? In this so-called Ancestry.com and all this other nonsense they go around with who's a Jew and the rights of return.
Yes.
They told the tribe of Dan, don't bring your gas over here, did they not?
Yep.
And the Ethiopian Jew, so-called, and I'm stressing so-called because they're not a Jew, they are a Hebrew. They are a direct descendant of the tribe of Dan. And if you listen to your own Jewish scholarship, Rabbi, the 13th tribe does not exist in Israel. The 13th tribe and Ashkenazim are not Semitic. So please stop calling here or me a lie. I cannot be anti-Semitic against myself. I certainly cannot oppose either Lucifer, Satan, nor the synagogue of Satan by stating the truth. Every lie you and your Christian brothers tell, because you created a white Jesus, you created a little white lie that's now a worldwide lie. You stand on my kernel of truth. I am the melanated origin. I am the author of all life. And you have the unmitigated gall to bring a perversion of what you call a sodomite to ask me if I should acknowledge your existence while you continue to lynch me? So, Sean, please, take a breath. Be cool. Chill. You know I got your back. But it is time out for this shit. Don't come to us with no religious-ass shit back home. Go find them 300 pedophile priests, and that's only in one state, Pennsylvania. Go to Boston. They made a movie called Spotlight and gave an Oscar to it on how perverted and deviant the Roman Catholic Church is in mass. Not in isolation, not in individuals, in mass. Go home, like the sister has asked you before, sweep around your own damn front door before you come over here and speak to me about nothing. I am sick and tired of people coming in under your skirt, sister, and this is out of homage to you. They go and do their dirt under you, trying to pimp me, and I yield.
All right, brother. Peace and love. Peace and love. Well said.
Up,
yeah. Well said.
Peace and love.
Oh. Okay. Only thing I want to add to that, I mean, he did it so beautifully when, you know, he talks about go back to your particular origin with that religion stuff. And you only going to be able to do that for so long because mother is cleansing herself, period. We are not in the age of religion. Let me say that again.
Right.
The age of religion was dark age. That fish or Pisces was the dark ages. That spell is over with. Okay? So you're not even going to have long to be spewing that. Because religion is rooted in a patriarch system. It's the suppression of mother. And we did not have that on this planet. We did not have that on this realm. And we damn sure didn't have it as of late with the indigenous people of the Americas. But that shit is over with. I done said this before. In the Americas, that's no longer going to be tolerated. On the realm, in Mama Earth's planet, it will no longer be tolerated. We're not in the Pisces age. Those that are stuck still in religion, you are in the age of Pisces. You're still stuck in the dark ages. And that's where you're going to stay if you so wish to keep sticking with that. But the golden age, not having it. It cannot exist. It's not possible. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do the Bobby Hemmett as let me get y'all the name of this video, because it's only 11 minutes long. But this is Bobby Hemmett on Baphomet Moorish connection and challenging your mind. And this is off of one of my favorite YouTube channels, Masterly Foolish, because they put out a lot of good information. They chop it up in smaller bites for you. So here we go. We're going to come back, talk about this, and then we're going to go into the grander scale again, talking about the matrix and the cycle or these ages that I discussed. So here we go with this video, and then we'll come back.
But in this particular aspect of the head, now look at this. This is called the Baphomet. And it says that the Knights Templars, who was put in by the Moors, were accused of worshiping a head sometimes called the Baphomet head or Baphomet, and considered to be an idol and probably connected with the Muhammad or Muhammad. They're talking about the Moorish aspect of this. And they talk about these people that were worshiping this head. This is page 254, 255 in the book Sufis. This is the definitive text, introduction by Robert Graves. And they've been putting out bullshit ever since they put out this one. Then they put out a bunch of garbage. Now, no, that's the Star of David is just all in those are ancient signs of ancient mystery system signs. It also means penis. The head of the penis sticks up, and if you close the legs of a woman, the pubic hair sticks down. So it's the male and female union and a union. And they just found a six-pointed star that had two eclipses in November, a six-pointed star that formed in a conjunction in November. All this happened in November. We're going to tell you what all that means. But going back, they were talking about the Knights Templar venerated a head. And Muhammad called, he said, now, the Western scholars have recently supposed that the Baphomet was no connection with Muhammad, but may well be a corruption of the Arabic word Abuffamat, Abuffamat, which is pronounced in Moorish Spain something Baphomet. Now, whatever this is a Moorish Moorish Spain is the ones who started the Knights Templars, and this is the Moorish iconology. Now, let's go right ahead and see what this thing says. Page 255 in the Sufis, Idris Shah, S-H-A-H, introduction by Robert Graves. Let's see what it says to put this to rest. I've been saying this for 10 years now, but we got it in black and white. And you all scared. Mennonite, Cabin, Baptist, Seventh-day Adventist. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff here and all. And here you are in the 2000s, and you still stuck in superstitions. Superstitions, and ain't nothing getting done. You know what I'm saying? You're the most religious, and you are the least spiritual. White folks are more spiritual than you now. Now, you challenge me on that shit. The white man is more spiritual than you are. Why? Because he deals with your discipline. He does not fool around with this bullshit. Now you have it. The white man is more spiritual than black people. Yes. Yes, he's more spiritual than you because you don't deal with your discipline. And he deals with your damn discipline. So you can shake your goddamn tambourine all the hell you want. You ain't shit until you deal with your discipline. The white man deals with your disciplines and you reject your discipline, so he's more spiritual than you. Don't give a damn because you dance, because you can cry a little better, because you can shake a tambourine. The white man is better than you because he deals with your disciplines and you call your discipline satanic. Now come off the bullshit. You don't know none of this stuff. Yeah, I see. We got Brother Phil Valentine in the back. Yeah. Yeah. So, we just running our mouth, melanin. The damn white man is dealing with your discipline. He's more spiritual than you. Because you scared of your shit. We know niggas. Niggas and flies. One spread filth and one spread lies. The more I hang around niggas, the more I like flies. A nigga was a bad invention. You scared of your stuff. Come on, you spiritual. Every time somebody try to give you something, you scared of it. Know what I'm saying? So my point is now, it says, now this is it. Now this wipes out this. The Baphomet, it says, now here it goes again. Entered it into evidence. This is the only one that's valid. They got 12 Sufi books out, and they just poetic sayings. This is the only one. The Sufis by Adries, Adries, Shah. Introduction by Robert Graves, page 255, 254. And it says, this Baphomet head that was venerated by the Knights Templar, it goes on to say, the devotees, it says, that this head means knowledge. And it says, a derivation standing for black coalman, and so on. The Baphomet is none other than the symbol of the completed man, the black head, the Negro head, the Turk head, which appears hereby in English language. It goes on to say that the term especially used in Moorish Spain is studied in Moorish Spain, and it states that the black head or the Baphomet head is called the completed man, or more completed man, the complete man. Now there you have it. You scared of this. So don't be fucking around. You scared of this. Let me tell you another thing about us. This is what you need to start rejecting. You go up Harlem, and you see all these little pretty little pictures of black women and the little babies, or the black man, he ain't heavy, lifting up. That was all good 10 years ago because you was trying to go. You see what I'm saying? But your artwork is not tapping into complex disciplines. So you got all that old pretty art. You know what I'm saying? All these little pictures of the black man and all the baby and all that old root shit from 77. You grown people. Your stuff's supposed to be challenging. You see what I'm saying? You need to go to Greenwich Village and see what them white folks is getting down with. See what I'm saying? And the artistic shit they dealing with. They say we don't want nothing beautiful. We want something that's going to challenge the foundations of the doggone matrix and stuff. They dealing with H. Geiger, who gave you Alien and all that kind of stuff. And you sitting around here with little baby, little all them old shits you see all down Harlem. Them old sick-ass posters. Oh, you done got enough of that. You don't need no more of that. And don't reject erotic art. That's right. So don't reject erotic art. Don't let the white man fool you, call it pornography. Erotic art. Something that stirs up something. Know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing more pretty than. Let me show you something here. Let me show you something here. If you take the wings of Tahuti, y'all all right? Look. Okay, take the wings of Tahuti. Let me get a picture of Tahuti. And stuff. I swear this is some pretty shit right here. I'm in love with this. I'm in love with it. Yeah. I'm getting ready to become an altar for this stuff right here. We just wait, I gotta set it up, but I want to show you this right here. I'm gonna get the staff of Tahuti, so you all know the medical symbol, the staff of Tahuti. Now, I'll do it right here. This is a good one right here. This is one right here. This is the god Mithra or Aeon. As you know the wings coming up like that, you know that's the staff of Tahuti. You see the black dot and all of that. Okay. Now, you see them wings going down like that? look on the vagina and see them some sisters' pussy got wing on it. You get one, y'all see how the Christians do? You all get, see, that's what I'm trying to say. You got to break you from this junk. You see how quiet you get? Now, if Richard Pryor said this, you'd be laughing. It's programming. Have you ever seen women's sisters' vagina that got wings on it? See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. So my point here is there's a form of erotic art. This you didn't even know that this right here, you've been seeing it all your life. And I'm talking about the outline of this. You've been seeing it all your life. The vesicle ain't nothing but the pussy. And it's on every damn church, above every white church. They got this. That's the vagina. That's the prettiest shit going. You know what I'm saying? That's the doorway. So now I'm getting ready to become a temple. I'm going to get ready to become a damn altar for that. This right here. As long as I got a face, she got a place to sit. You know, so I'm going to do that Tony Braxton. I will never breathe again. Because she's going to be sitting on my head. I got a brand new hat. So I'm going to become the veil.
Okay. You know that's Brother Bobby. He's off the hook. So that particular video is off of Masterly Foolish, Bobby Hemmett on the Baphomet Moorish connection and challenging your mind. And so I wanted to play that video so once again you can understand where the origins of the Baphomet came from. And I knew I couldn't remember where those wings came from, okay? And I said fallen angels, but Bobby Hemmett was saying that it's coming off of Tahuti. So you can go Google pictures of Tahuti, and you will see Tahuti with the wings. And, you know, Tahuti is the symbol of the medical staff, right, which is the genetic DNA strings, okay? And that's also in that Baphomet. Now, remember, we talked about that Tahuti is one of those Anunnaki, okay? So hopefully this is starting to make sense where these things are coming from, okay? They're coming from these other entities or beings that's from another realm, but they have embedded in these things the sciences to control the matrix, to manipulate the matrix, okay? So you, as divine beings, you know how to master these things. You just had forgotten, okay? So hopefully this has given you some insight on this whole Baphomet concept, what the origins of it is about, what the actual symbol of the Baphomet is, how it is tying into transgenderism, because really what they're doing is trying to imitate their gods. That's literally what they're trying to do, imitate their gods from a physical perspective with the transgenderism. That's why you will see, and if you go do your research, folks that they are accusing of being a transgender is putting before the public them being high priest or high priestesses, but they're really high priests if they're male. But anyhow, that's what it's about. It is imitating their gods, okay? But you, as a divine being in your own right, you imitate no one, because you are a creator. You were given the gift to be the guardian of this realm, and then depending on your evolution in the spiritual realm, some of you are responsible for even creating new realms. Okay? So this is why it is very extremely important to know the things that you are giving your energy to and things that you are looking up to or worshiping. Because we are out of that age. Even the whole concept of Egyptology and, drawing on energy from this deity, that shit is over with. That's still all under the Pisces age. That is over. That was a spell upon the planet to look outside of self. All of that's over with. Okay, so I'll pause in case sis or Brother Sean, you want to put something on it, and then we're going to close out with the brother that talks about the ancient discovery of the Matrix. So, but anyhow, go ahead,
I would
sis.
like to talk about Seven Bowman, when he's talking about our importance of learning and understanding who we are, because we are here to learn so we can be the creators of the universe. We're in training.
Yes.
And I think he said something that we have to understand and not be held down to this dimension, because we have to rise up so we can be the creators of the universe.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yes, you're absolutely right, because if, and some people haven't gotten to that point yet where they can elevate beyond the matrix, and that's why they're holding on to the concept of Messiah or the Pisces age or the Dark Ages, because they have not learned to master self or control their God body, that spiritual body, their Merkaba, okay? So that's what that G in the middle of that Masonic compass, it actually represents two things. Number one, it represents the Merkaba, the God body, and then the other thing, it represents the female portal, the female vagina, okay? Because these entity beings that came to this realm, they used the feminine divine energy for their purposes. They controlled it, okay? Because there's no way that a Y genome can be over an X, because the Y is a derivative of the X, okay? So they are using the sciences, and riddled in the sciences, they're going back to the geneticist of the X, of mama, to manipulate it. All of them do it. Okay, we went through the genealogy, breaking that X up in different ways. We talked about the entertainment, the whole transgenderism. Okay, so that even goes back to these different entities. Okay, that's all male-dominated patriarch. They use the feminine divine energies to control. Okay, anybody that follows that whole Anunnaki series, you should know that, because they plainly just flat out said that they overtook Mama Earth because she was not in compliance, because she was the dominant one, because she had all the power, and she was controlling all of the other realms, or what they were calling planets. So they got together and they overthrew her. Okay, so hopefully you got a feel from that whole Baphomet, what that Baphomet agenda really is and how that's tied to transgenderism and why. Okay, so this particular video, and I absolutely loved it, and thank you, Sis Cheryl, for sharing that with me. We're only going to be able to play part one of it, but the brother knocked it out the park. It's off of a YouTube channel called Zeg, Z-E-G TV, and the brother that is speaking, his name is Billy Carson, and the name of the video is Incredible 36,000-year-old ancient discovery indicates we are living in a matrix. Okay, so the reason I am bringing this up, we've talked about this whole matrix for several times, and I don't know if you remember me making the statement that as we're moving more and more into the golden age, or higher dimensions, or the frequency rising, that you should be seeing through the matrix and be above the matrix. So meaning you are not participating on the chessboard anymore. Okay? Think of it as a chessboard. You're not a pawn. You're not a knight. You're not a rook. You're not a bishop. You're not a king. You're not a queen. That board represents the matrix, the duality of light square, dark square. You're looking totally above it, and you see where it's all a game, and how the energy of the queen is the root of the game. Okay, so as creators, as beings that are working in higher dimension, higher vibrational state, you are starting to see through all of this. Okay, so and you're going to see the signs where you're like, okay, why should I have to pay to live on Mama Earth? There is no scarcity. We need to get back to nature. This system, we don't need it. I don't need anyone governing over me. These are the things where you are coming out of the Pisces age, the Pisces spell, and into the golden age, where you start to remember being in balance, respecting nature, guarding and respecting mother. Okay? So you're going to start seeing the rest of that shit as a game, as the matrix. Okay? So this particular video, the brother is going to just break down how it was proven with ancient discoveries that this is a matrix. Okay, so we're only going to have time for part one, but I do encourage you to listen to the brother's video because it's not that long. I think it's like an hour. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. We're only going to get part of it in tonight. So let me go to it. I said it and then, okay, here we go.
Billy Carson. I'm excited to be here. I'm sweating, but it's not because I'm nervous, because I very rarely get nervous, to be honest with you. I'm just hot. And I'm not taking off my jacket because I'm on film. But I want to thank everybody for coming on. I really appreciate you guys. We had a little technical difficulties, but we're going to get on our way. This is a little bit about my bio up here. As you know, you've probably seen me on Gaia, Deep Space, Ancient Civilizations. I've been on Buzzsaw. I've been on Beyond Belief. I've been on George Norrie's Coast to Coast AM 3 times. I've been on with Jimmy Church. I've been on a lot of, notable places, and I believe that they're contacting me to come on and talk about this stuff is because I have some information that I'd like to share. They believe it's valid information for the general population, the general public. So without further ado, let's get started and get into this presentation. As you know, I'm the author of the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. It's a new book that has just been released. It's only available on forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com right now. I do have some books available back here. If anybody wants one, I'll autograph the book for you and personalize it after I get off the stage tonight. This is just a photo that I took when I just got back from Peru a few weeks ago. I've been traveling all over the world. I've been around the world twice in 2018. 2018, I've been around the world twice. I made a dedication to myself. I've been traveling for a very long time. I went to Chichen Itza back 20 years ago. But I made a dedication to myself moving forward. This was back in 2017, that moving forward I would get more hands-on in the field. Not just to be labeled as a researcher or a conspiracy theorist, or I like to call myself a conspiracy realist, but a person that actually goes out and gets his hands dirty and gets out there and find out, for my own self, what it feels like, what it smells like, what it tastes like. And so that's what I've been dedicated to. This is a picture that I just took just a few weeks ago. An amazing view at the top of Machu Picchu. I'm going to be doing a tour of Peru in 2020, actually, as well. I'll be announcing that probably online very soon. Just another photo. And I also proposed at that very spot. So if she would have said no, I was just going to roll right off the edge because, hey, I can end it right there and nobody would, know any different. We're literally at the very edge. It's like a 250-meter drop right there. So I figured I'd just roll off and be done with myself. But luckily for me, she did say yes. So that worked out. We're going to get married in that same spot as well. So we'll get married there probably when I do the tour of Peru. So everybody who comes to the tour of Peru will probably be at the wedding. Today we're going to talk about the fractal holographic universe. This is a photo that I took at the Field Museum in Chicago. And we're going to go into fractals. One of the things I like to do when I teach and talk about these types of things in lectures and workshops, I like to use a lot of visual material because people I found are very visual. And the majority of people are actually visual. And that's why Instagram has been such a big success. Instagram became a big success because it's very visual. It's mostly photos. I remember when it first came out, and myself, was not really too much of a visual learner for whatever reason. But when it first came out, I was doubting. I was like, pictures? I actually chuckled at the fact that just putting pictures online, I'm like, what are people going to put pictures of? How many pictures can you put up? Then one day I said, okay, let me just try this thing, because a lot of people started getting on Instagram like in 2011. So at the end of 2011, I said, let me make an Instagram account and post a couple of crazy photos and just see what happens. The next thing you know, it turned into something I couldn't even believe. From the beginning of 2012 until now, 801,000 now as of today on Instagram. Facebook started much later. It's around 600-some-thousand. But between all 130 accounts that I have, it's up to almost 3 million people that follow all my different accounts. A lot of you are following other accounts, so you don't even know that I actually own those accounts. That's a part of the fractal. So what is a fractal exactly? A lot of people throw this term around a lot in the conscious community and in science as well, and physics. And a lot of people utilize it themselves, but not really having a true in-depth understanding of what a fractal actually is. So I wanted to pull up the definition. A curve or geometric figure, each part of which has the same statistical character as a whole. Fractals are usual in modeling structures as eroded coastlines and snowflakes, in which similar patterns recur progressively at smaller scales, and in describing partly random chaotic phenomena such as crystal growth, fluid turbulence, and galaxy formation. So you see why we're talking about fractals. Of course, the last term there, galaxy formation. I really do believe, and not just me, other physicists, scientists, really do believe that we're living in a fractal holographic universe, and I'm hoping that the information I present to you today will give you enough that you can go back and research for yourself and come up with your own understanding of it, and maybe you'll see it my way, maybe you won't. But I'm going to give you the information nonetheless. One of the important things that Nassim Haramein said was that the protons are entangled. Have anybody here heard of quantum entanglement before? Okay. Quantum entanglement is very important. It's a very powerful thing. It links us to the spiritual world. The reason why prayers work, if you know how to pray, and that's a very important thing I talk about at a lot of my seminars, you have to know how to pray, because there's two different ways to pray. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about it here as well. But you must quantum entangle with the source energy. And when you quantum entangle with the source energy, that's when you can get a result. If you're praying at the wrong frequency, in other words, if you're praying from a position of begging, from a position of being on your knees, which is not a problem being on your knees, but you're in the position of, I need help and I don't know where I'm going to get it, and I'm asking and begging for something, a result, versus using the power that's already in you of the creation and commanding your end result, commanding I'm healed, commanding that this situation is going to get taken care of, commanding that everything is going to work out in my favor, not commanding as if I'm the creator of all planets and moons and solar systems and everything else, but commanding knowing that the source energy runs through you, in you, and out of you, and understanding that all of that is on the inside, and then you can push it to alter your reality tunnel on the outside. And in science and quantum physics, you can quantum entangle atoms by simply phase shifting the atomic frequency to the same frequency. So if I do parabolic down conversion with a laser and take two particles of matter and get them on the same frequency, I can take one of those particles to the other end of the universe. And then when I change the information or put data on the one that's local to me, the other one that's on the other end of the universe will change instantaneously to match. Okay, so that's incredible. That bypasses the speed of light. So what does that tell you? Distance is an illusion. Space is an illusion. Time is an illusion. Locality is an illusion. The fact that I'm standing up here now talking to you, I'm actually talking to myself. And vice versa, when you're talking to somebody, you're talking to yourself. We're all different aspects of the same exact consciousness. That's all we are. We're literally, consciousness divided itself into multi-Googles of entities to experience itself subjectively from various different perspectives on a data collection mission. Consciousness is here to collect information. That's what this whole experiment is all about. And what do I mean by that? Let's go into fractal mode and go down as above, so below. Let's look at your brain. Okay, your brain is encased in complete darkness. And what does it do? It doesn't know what's going on out there. It can't see, smell, touch, feel anything. It says to its friends, please, you guys go out there and collect some data. Bring me back some information so I can figure out what's going on out there. So sight, smell, hearing, feeling, touch, and everything, they go out, they go, okay, we're going to go out and collect this information for you, but they themselves don't know what the data is. They can't decipher it for themselves. They have no idea what they've collected. They've just collected literal zeros and ones of bits of information. They bring it back to the brain that's encased in complete darkness, and then what happens? The brain puts it all together, figures it all out, and then projects a hologram of what's going on the outside. And you navigate through that electromagnetic field to bring you even here to this seminar today. That's how it works. And when you quantum entangle, when he's talking about, Nassim Haramein is talking about quantum entanglement, it lets you know that everything is connected. We're all connected. If you, energetically, all of our particles, all the atoms that make up our bodies are all still connected. We still literally are all one. Separation is an illusion. The only thing that gives you the illusion of matter and separation is when you slow down the frequency of an electromagnetic wave and it then add consciousness and a conscious observer, then you can break it down into or collapse into a pattern that can be recognized as physical matter. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a creation that we're living in that, luckily for us, is not 100% static. It's dynamic. And when you know how to I call it navigating through the matrix. That's what I call it. When you know how to play in the matrix, your life will become a lot easier. A lot more things. The law of attraction will work a lot easier for you. Your prayers and meditations will blossom and bloom more. Your desires will come forth a lot better, a lot easier. But it all starts with understanding, first of all, what are we living in? What are we actually a part of here? And I think that once you get a good understanding of that, a lot more stuff will open up for you. And Some people will call this New Age information, and I think it's ancient information, which is why I wrote the book, The Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. So I go deep into how to manifest light, how to manifest matter from light particles, which Thoth talks about 36,000 years ago, how to use vocal frequencies from your own throat to alter your reality tunnel. That's in the Emerald Tablets as well. I break all this down. Some people thought that he was calling on names of people. No, he's calling on frequencies. He's emitting or emoting frequencies from his vocal cords that actually have a direct effect when you say those words the proper way on space-time, the ether of space-time itself. So I go into all of this, and some people go, well, what are the Emerald Tablets? So I just want to give you a quick breakdown, because this is the fundamental basis of a lot of my research, to be honest with you. The history of the Emerald Tablets is strong and well documented. The original text was written in Thoth Atlantean language. The version I'm referencing right now is basically from Dr. D'Oriel, who you can find his actual interpretation on crystallinks.com. A new translation has been published from the Arabic version of the Emerald Tablets, and it's called The Book of Causes, written by the famous Thomas Aquinas. A lot of people who maybe have followed the Catholic Church know Thomas Aquinas. A translation by Sir Isaac Newton. You might have heard of this guy before. Sir Isaac Newton, his work is currently housed at the King's College Library at Cambridge University. So his translation, interpretation of the Emerald Tablets are in England. You can actually go there and look at them. Philip of Tripoli also translated the Emerald Tablets in 1240 AD. A famous version of the Book of Secret of Creation and the Art of Nature was written in 683 AD by him, which was also inspired by the Emerald Tablets. A famous author named Roger Bacon was accepted into Oxford University at the age of 13, also translated and wrote a version of the Emerald Tablets. He was an English philosopher, Franciscan friar, who placed considerable emphasis on the study of nature through empirical methods. In the early modern era, he was regarded as a wizard and particularly famed for the story of his mechanical, neurocratic brazen head that he created. He's sometimes credited, mainly in the 19th century, as one of the earliest European advocates of the modern scientific method, which inspired Aristotle and by later scholars such as Arab scientist Al-Hazen. And also now in 2018, a brilliant man, you might have heard of him, Billy Carson, was also inspired to write a compendium of the Emerald Tablets. Okay, so you might have heard of that guy. But this information goes back 36,000 plus years. That's how old this information is. And when you tap into the Emerald Tablets and start reading it, you start realizing right away, and if you read the book, you'll see it syncs up with a lot of the religious books that are really more New Age, modern, like the Bible, the Quran, all these modern religious books have taken information directly from the Emerald Tablets. And I mean almost word for word. It's when I start lining up those scriptures to something written 36,000 years, you have to say to yourself, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, this stuff is really old, and you start to realize that a lot of this information was literally hand-picked directly out of these tablets. And then when you look in the Old Testament of the Bible and some of these other texts, you discover that that information came from the Sumerian tablets, which are publicly available, and you don't need Zechariah Sitchin to decipher the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets have been deciphered hundreds of years before Zechariah Sitchin was even born, before he was even an embryo or whatever you want to call it, a spermatozoa. That thing has been floating around. Oh, he's the only person that can decipher it. No. What Zechariah Sitchin did was he took information from the tablets that were already deciphered hundreds of years before he was born, and he took information from the Bible, from the Quran, and from other religious texts, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, and what he did was he painted a picture. He tried to piece it all together and give us an idea of what may have happened. I think that his work's been venerated because a lot of independent scholars have now gone into the tablets, including myself, and have come up with the same concept. Now, the story may be slightly different here or there, some of the particulars, but the overall idea that these advanced beings came here in ancient times, and they didn't create a human being from scratch, like just, oh, poof, we're going to make a human out of dirt and do some alchemical stuff. But what I personally believe is that they came here and an existing hominid was already on this planet evolving, not the typical evolution of, the science, mainstream science, but we were here already and probably most likely a lot smarter and more intelligent than we are now. I'm dead serious. I'm not talking technologically smarter, maybe not in that time frame that they arrived, because there has been 4 advanced humanoid civilizations on this planet before the Anunnaki even got here. They came at a time when we were down. We had fallen again through the cycle of the yugas. Civilizations rise and civilizations fall. That's just the cycle of life. There's nothing you can do. It's a very cyclical thing. And when they arrived, there was an existing hominid here who was attached to this planet more spiritually, more in tune with the human resonance and frequencies of the planet. We all still have millions of magnetite crystals in our brains right now, and we don't even use them. Well, not all of us. Some of us here are using them. But a lot of people don't use them to navigate the planet, to detect situations that are occurring. For example, if there's a tsunami coming inland, wild animals get away from the coastline hours, sometimes days before it occurs. How come they know and we don't know? We stay there and we're swimming in the ocean and we get swallowed right up. But all the wild animals head up to the mountains. They're in tune with the earth. They're in tune with the planet. And I believe that based on the skull size of some of our ancestors that were here, they weren't called Homo sapiens at that time. They were various different humanoids. To me, in my personal opinion, after looking into the research and looking into some of the archaeological sites, they were way more advanced than us. Their pineal gland was larger. They were spiritually in tune. They most likely had psychic capabilities, can communicate without moving their mouths and everything else, maybe even telekinesis, a lot of other various gifts that we are now all just starting to rediscover, how to download information. And real quick, I want to talk about that because a lot of people use the word I get downloads. Never be afraid to use that because let me tell you something, the human DNA is very powerful. It's also a fractal pattern. But one of the most interesting things I found out about the human DNA is that 1 gram of DNA, that's enough to put on the tip of your finger, can store 700 terabytes of data. 700 terabytes on 1 gram. A human body can literally store all the information from the beginning of time until this day. One human body. You're literally walking around in a gigantic storage unit of data that's already inside of you. And when you look at what happened when these beings came here, they disconnected that. So it wasn't that they created a dumbed-down version. What they did was they started disconnecting our information and made us into Homo sapiens. Our brains got smaller, our pineal gland shrank, and we have all this junk DNA that used to be connected. Now, one thing they discovered about the DNA is that you can actually download digital bits of information directly onto DNA. Zeros and ones. Like I can connect it into a microchip, put it into a computer, and I can upload and download files, videos, play this whole presentation on DNA. Think about that. This is being done in universities all over the country. So I think they downloaded the whole Library of Congress onto the DNA and uploaded it back to the server. Now they discovered as well that, well, we here already knew, that everybody emits a frequency. That frequency is emanating out and in, upload, download from DNA. So when you say you're getting a download, you're really getting a download. Your body, if it's in tune to the right frequency, will download information directly into the DNA, and now they found out that memories are stored also in DNA. So you can download information, digital bits of information into your DNA, and they can then be sent to the brain for processing, and you can get spiritual contact, you can see into other dimensions, you can get deeper into meditations, you can get in better, higher levels of intuition. All these things are very capable and possible and are not freakish, mystical, things that shouldn't be happening in human beings. These things should be happening all the time and on a daily basis. This should be a normal part of our lives. Right now, the people that are in these positions of being able to tap into these frequencies and gather information are considered superheroes, in my personal opinion. But eventually, as we continue to move back towards that golden age, a lot more people will be able to tap into these abilities as well. Thoth built the Great Pyramid. This is in the Emerald Tablets. His exact words, "I builded the Great Pyramid, patterned after the pyramid of Earth's force, burning eternally so that it too might remain through the ages. In it I builded my knowledge of magic science." Magic science translates into advanced technology. "So that I may be here when I return from Amenti. While I sleep in the halls of Amenti, my soul roaming free will incarnate, dwell amongst men in one form or another." Hermes the thrice born. And one thing that, if you've seen some of my other talks, I talk.
Okay, family. So again, that was the video called "Incredible 36,000-Year-Old Ancient Discovery Indicates We Are Living in the Matrix" off of ZEG, Z-E-G TV. And the speaker is Brother Billy Carson. We're only going to have 5 more minutes. So we're going to wind down. But what I'm going to do next week, I still have so much information that I did not get to cover about a lot of the events that are going on. So we're going to use next week as the opportunity to get through that information, and then I do want to get into part 2 of his particular video, because he's going to go deeper into the matrix and how the sciences of this matrix connect and how it applies to you. So with that said, I'll see, Sis, did you have any last words for the family?
Well, this has been one interesting session.
I know, it's been wow, huh?
I've been telling you. But it's been enjoyable. I hope it helped people, and I hope we didn't hurt anybody's feeling, because it's not them we're talking about. It's the matrix that they've given into.
Yeah.
So that's about all I said. We send them peace. We send them love. And we hope that what we say will help them grow and not stifle their growth.
Indeed, indeed. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
Well, we couldn't have planned the Psyops mission any better than that ourselves. I mean, we've been kicking it with your family for how long, and that's the first time anything like this has ever happened.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, so we must really be dropping some heavy stuff.
I mean, you know, they can eat, that's one thing, but the fact that they conspired, I mean, come on, I just don't see where there's no leeway for that. And like I said, that whole my son, my daughter thing and talking in a condescending way, this, that, or the other, I mean, that was deliberate. You don't be no doctor, like you say, and a rabbi and all this, that, or the other, and reach the age that they've reached.
Right.
And not know who the fuck he was talking to.
Indeed, indeed. Well, again, family, I hope that you are getting a lot of this, that the purpose, again, is to make you aware of the changing of the ages, okay? So whether that be you want to equate that from going to 3D to 5D or whatever, the switching of vibrations is really which it is, going from a low vibratorial state to a higher vibratorial state, and all things associated with the lower vibration state, which religion is a big part of that Pisces age. We're done with that. So now, as high-dimensional cosmic beings, you are going to start reusing your spiritual powers, which was used to keep the high vibration of the realm, okay, and manifest things within the realm, okay? So that is where we are going. We are right at the beginning stages of the golden age, and the realm is splitting from the dark ages. So I do want to make you aware of that. We're going to pick back up next week. I want to thank you all so much for your patience and your support. Thank you, Brother Sean and Sis Sandra, for rocking with me, for being lovely co-hosts. Love you two very much. Love you, family. And we will be back next week. We'll pick up next week.